Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so we are concluding. We did our rewatch of all the live action Batman films leading up to this episode, to The Batman, which was finally released this week. Super excited to talk about it. But we do have some guests to introduce to join us for this episode because this is how we go. We go big on these big movies that drop.
That's right.
So let's start rolling them out because we do got 3 guests coming out here. So first up, you've seen him on this show before. He's kicking off his Old Dirty Fighting show that's coming on next week with Pop Culture Pros. You know him, you love him. Rick Cedrez. Rick, what's up, dude?
What's up, boys?
What's up, dude? What's going on, man?
Another day in paradise. I'm excited. I've been, as you guys know, I speak to Eddie about a half hour to an hour every day. So I watched this movie, and we haven't spoken at all since. So I'm really excited.
We dodge the topic constantly. So we dodge it every day.
Holy crap! So Ed, you and I have talked more about this movie than you and Rick.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
And so the person that I went to see the movie with, Billy Sanders, shout out. He left 30 minutes before it ended, so I can't discuss it with him because he doesn't know the ending.
Was there an emergency in his home?
No, that's how he watches movies. He
just leaves
shows
30
up,
minutes
starts
before
eating his candy. And when he runs out of chocolate, he just leaves.
That's
bizarre.
That's one of the worst viewing habits I've ever seen and heard of in my entire life.
So has he never seen the end to any movie that he didn't buy enough chocolate for?
He'll go back and watch the movie a second time.
But will he then buy enough chocolate?
I don't know if he shows up halfway through the second time.
That's what I want to know, because if his time in a movie is dictated by how many snacks he has, and he habitually only buys enough snacks to get him into a half an hour before the movie, I'm curious how he finishes any movie.
He needs to start buying more candy then.
Right.
Prior to the film.
Wait. Can I show you guys what I got, Eddie? Did anybody else see this at the theater?
We went to Regal, so we did not. Yes.
They were selling this at the theater. Saw it, had to get it, so.
Dude, that's awesome,
man. Also had to premiere it before I sent it to you.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. I just thought you were going to try to wear it.
I have to admit, I'm very happy I couldn't buy that at the theater because I would have, and it would have been another thing my wife went, where do you want to put that? Where are we putting that?
I came
it's bad
home.
enough I have a huge Dr. Doom mask in our living room.
I walked in my house. I looked like Al Snow. I was like, it's a gift for Eddie, I swear.
Oh, my God.
What does everybody want?
Hey. All right, so we got 2 more guests to roll out here, too, to help us cover the Batman. He's joining us he has his own YouTube channel as well. It's called Izzyverse, and we're joined by Izzy. Dude, what's up, man? What's going on?
What's going on, guys? Yo, I saw that Batman popcorn, and I went, man, that's why AMC is selling the tickets for $1 extra. They want to get the money back from that. You guys heard about that, right? You guys heard about that, right?
We were talking about it on the page, and it's absurd, man. I have a Regal Unlimited membership, which is why I usually go to Regal. And honestly, thank God I did, because I'm not trying to pay extra for $1 extra you actually want to see.
That's $1 extra, really. It's enough that the movie tickets cost the arm and the leg, right?
Yeah,
then you got to add an extra $1.
Yeah, right, they're like $22 at this point, right? Like, I'm gonna be old here. I remember when I was younger going to the movies, they were $8.
I used to when I was in high school. Well, I say that quite loosely. When I say I was in high school, but during my time in high school, I would go to the movies all the time. And I'm a teenager and stuff like that, and all I needed was to save a couple of bucks my parents would give me as far as my allowance, and I would see a movie more than once. there was a time that I would have saw a movie 5, 6, 7 times because the ticket price was affordable. Matinee was even more affordable.
Yeah, they were like $4,
Now it's like
$5. It was crazy.
Yeah, so it's like you would go do that today. You gotta prepare as you would go into Disney World sometimes and going to the movie theater.
True.
And I got a party of 4, so
Oh wow.
it's never easy for me. It's like
Jesus. So going to the movie theater for you and your family is like a paycheck, right?
let's just
Between
say,
the tickets and the food. And...
let's just say I'm very happy for PayPal paying 4.
Yes, nice.
So
well, we'll keep on rolling out the family guys though, because we also have another gentleman who's joining us. You know him from Pop Culture Pros, specifically the Jader and Kyle show. We got Jader who's joining
Kyle?
us. Shockingly not Kyle.
Thanks, bro. Thanks,
Wow.
Jader, I say that only because Kyle has never lowered himself to be on this show.
No, he joined us
man,
once. He
I
joined us.
I already told them that he's missing the fuck out, man. I'm like, yo,
And you
it.
are a friend to the show who comes on a great deal to support us. So it was a joke. That's all.
No. I know. How are you guys, man? Sorry it took so long. I honestly probably ran over like 15 grandmas and like hit like 7 cars to get here. I was driving like Davidson, chasing the penguin right now. Super excited to talk this show.
Yeah,
How are
man.
you boys today?
I good, man. Good. I told you I was giving your and Kyle's review that's up on Pop Culture Pros right now. I was listening to it after the movie because I was like, wait a second. Is Jada going to talk about spoilers in his review? I'm
No.
not really sure.
I try to really tread lightly, man, as much as I could. I don't think I spoiled too much, to be honest with you. Steve asked me if it was spoiler, and I was like, no, I don't think I did. Nothing that wasn't away from the trailers, which, funny enough, I went into this movie, saw 0 trailers, except for the very first one, the what they previewed during the DC fandom about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
That's what I saw. Every time that I went to the movie theater to see a movie and the Batman trailer went down, I honestly would pop in my AirPods and just like look down and make sure that I wouldn't see anything. So I went really pretty blind while watching this. And I ended up seeing the trailer after I saw the movie just to see and I feel like that second trailer shows a lot. Obviously, me seeing the movie, piecing everything together, to me, it shows a lot. To obviously the general audience, you don't know.
You can't tell. Yeah, I agree.
You can't tell, but after you see it, you're like, holy shit, they did show a lot, But anyways, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited to talk this movie.
I will say this much: that first trailer is my favorite one out of all of them, only because of that one scene where the penguin his car's been flipped over and you see Batman walking upside down. There's something really cool about that shot.
So we'll talk about that absolutely, man. But yeah, man, I got to see this movie last week, right?
Was it Sunday
I saw it
or something?
Thursday. No, I saw it Thursday.
Also before that, okay.
Yeah. When Robert Pattinson showed up to our premiere, that was Sunday, but I had already seen it. That was my second time.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, Pattinson showed up, man. He ended up being there. I'll show you a quick little picture, guys. Right there in our premiere.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So that was really, really cool. I won some goodies for having a bald head. They gave me a hat. They gave me a fanny pack for having a Batman tattoo.
Wow.
They gave me a cup for being an EMT. It was awesome. It was I kept raising my hand for everything. They're like, who is it? Any first responders? And I'm like, right here. And then they're like, any bald heads? I took out I'm like, right here. And I just shaved my head.
Batman head. Did you get a Batman popcorn head?
Right here.
Yeah. But it was a good time. I know we're obviously gonna go in order now that night. If you guys don't stop me, I'll just keep talking all night. But that second viewing for me just solidified how great this movie was. At least for me, I don't know if you guys. I loved it the first time. I absolutely loved it, but it solidified it of how great a film it actually is. But let's go ahead, man. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So it's the ticker's up on the bottom. So spoilers, we're going to spoil the heck out of this. I know the movie technically officially drops today, so if you have not seen it, please go back and come check us out another time because we're going to openly discuss this film and all its spoiler glory. You've been warned. So let's go in. Rick's got
Yeah.
his Batman. Oh, he's got popcorn in,
Nice.
which is
Hell yeah.
fantastic. Ready to go. All right, so I guess let's just go around with like overall thoughts of the film before we do our usual thing where we'll go character by character, bring up scenes that involve that characters, open discussion then. Yeah, honestly, Jada, I know you just had mentioned it, but I agree with you. I really loved this film the first time around. I got to see it on Tuesday night with Jason at an IMAX fan event, and I think that's when Rick had seen it as well. Rick had seen it in Florida. But it's just, I just love the approach and the freshness of the film, because the question we've asked ourselves on this show for months now has been, what besides a dark, gritty, real world setting is Matt Reeves going to bring to the Batman? You know, like, especially while we were watching the Dark Knight trilogy, it's like, yeah, we kind of got this, man. It kind of reinvigorated our love for the Dark Knight and for Batman Begins and everything. And then it just blew me away with how different it still was. I thought there was going to be a lot of similarities.
We
Yes.
get Detective Batman. That's
And
what we
it's
get, man.
yeah, and that's briefly alluded on in some of the other films, very briefly. Like in The Dark Knight, he has like the scene with the shrapnel on the wall
The
and everything,
bullet
the
and all that
fingerprints.
shit and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And that's as far as it really goes in that. So that was pretty much honestly what you get in the whole damn trilogy. But this is almost 3 hours of Detective Batman. And I was loving it. Absolutely loving it. And then on second viewing, it seemed like it was even smoother. You know what I mean? If that's possible. Like the movie played very smooth for me the first time, but it seemed like it was smooth and it flowed, and it doesn't feel like anywhere near 3 hours. It feels like it's a 2 hour movie.
Piggybacking off that, the general census has been it's a great film. It just feels very long. And I've noticed that even when I was watching it the first time, was I bored watching this film? Not at all. But I've noticed, I'm like, holy shit. Like I thought we were like hitting like, close to the ending or the climax. And then I realized, dude, we still have another, 45, 50 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
I was not bored. I had no issue with the runtime originally. I just knew it was long because I knew at what time I got in, and I had to drive an hour home. And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm going to get home, by midnight by the time this movie ends. Wasn't a big deal to me. The second time I saw it, for me personally, it ran by so fast where I was like, holy shit, we're at this scene already. It wasn't like that because when I got to see it, obviously it was press only. It was no one else was able to go see it. Second time I was able to, invite some people over. We got some tickets. Thank you to Pop Culture Pros. We put that thing for Miami, and a bunch of my friends got tickets. So we ended up getting in there, and maybe I think like 12 of my friends grabbed tickets. So it was a bunch of us, just watching the movie. And my girlfriend leaned in, and she was like, it's almost over, right? And it was literally by the Penguin, but the introduction to the Batmobile, which we're gonna talk about, is my favorite scene ever. But I was like, no, you got some time. I'm like, this is nowhere near it. And then even when they capture, which we're getting ahead of ourselves, but once they, the ending where they capture Riddler, she's like, all right, it's almost over. I'm like, another 25 minutes. And she's like, what? Now she was starving. So that's why it's not that she hated the film at all. Yeah. She actually loved it. She's a big defender of it because she doesn't understand either why people aren't really digging it. But she was just really hungry, where she said she literally felt that runtime. Where the second half, she just wanted it kind of to be over because she was starving. So she's been begging me to take her this weekend. Yeah, she really was, which is, it's a thing. We know how scary that can be, right? It'll be like a combination of Joker and Riddler together in a Reeves film. She doesn't get her food. So it was that she loved it, but she felt that runtime where I've had a lot of friends tell me that, but always on second view, I usually always get the same answer. Holy shit, this movie's even better the second time, because you already know what to expect, you already know what's coming, and it just flies by so much faster, I felt. And then the third time he said, yeah, it's even better. So
and I agree with you. It does seem like you would think the climax of the film was there. You're right. And I thought to myself, I'm like,
they're wrapping up.
There's gotta be more. And there was more, and it was more. But you're right. The second time around, that's what I was saying, smoother. It seems like it just everything blends together.
Once you know what's coming, you're like, holy shit, we're here already,
Agreed. Jason?
Yeah, no, I want to. It's funny because I agree with what you guys said about the moment where the Riddler gets captured. Because I only saw it once. I haven't seen it twice yet. I of course love this movie. It's a great movie. I think that goes without saying. But it's funny because I had the same moment. I wasn't bored, and like I don't love long movies. Like as I get older, my attention span gets shorter. So something has to be really good for me to like be engrossed, right? But we got to the Riddler scene where he gets captured, like that you guys were talking about, and I myself was going, well, as much as I'd love the movie to be, over soon, because this has been a while, I don't want this to be over yet. I want more here and this and that.
Yeah.
And so like there's me at like the 220 mark or whatever it was going more, which I never do. I never do that. But yeah, no, this was great. I thought Pattinson does a great job as Batman. I thought I'm going to address something that I've seen in a lot of reviews where they say this movie is joyless. And I think
Jada, we know somebody who said that.
And with all due respect, I really do love the man. I have a great relationship.
I wasn't talking about someone in particular, by the way. I'm sorry if I
understand. But the thing is that he hates everything, and I'm so used to it already. I'm so used to it. Today he sent me his review and I read it, and I gave it a heart, right? Like a thumbs up, and then I'm like, it's not because I agree with you, it's because it's a well-written review. And he wrote laughing my fucking ass off, and I'm like, everybody's entitled to their opinion, even though he's wrong.
No, of course, completely for sure. Where this comes from is before I saw the movie, my wife comes in and she's laughing and she's reading a review of it, and she goes, and I'm like, what are you laughing at? And she's like, they're saying that Robert Pattinson's Batman voice sounds like he's had food poisoning for days, and that this movie is joyless. And she just thought that was just funny. She doesn't give a shit about Batman, to be honest with you, right? But so that's what I was talking about. But I go in, and to be honest, the Penguin for me in this movie is pure joy.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if you like,
Colin Farrell was having the time of his life shooting,
and he's great. He is great when he says the line, when he pulls at the end. I'm jumping around, but when he pulls that gun at the end and says, "I'm gonna spray paint your ass." Like,
yeah.
How do you not laugh at that? That's hysterical. So like, I think I get why people say that like it's dark. It's dark. It's gritty. I do feel this is like Seven. This is like Batman showed up in Seven. I mean, Seven is a joyless movie, but Seven is a fantastic movie. Like, I don't watch Seven and go, "Oh, this is so fun." Gwyneth Paltrow's head's in a box,
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something very briefly? I showed Steph American History X 7 and Uncut Gems in one sitting.
Oh
my God!
Go back.
How's she doing mentally? Is she okay? Did you break her?
It was during quarantine, right? And
why didn't you just add Joker to the mix?
Go there. She absolutely she thinks that movie's a masterpiece. She loves that film. But I was this close to showing her Requiem for a Dream. I was like, no. I think she would have like hung herself or some shit. But
Diaries.
Yeah. But I did show. It's funny every time someone mentions Seven. That's immediate. Mind you, I saw Seven in the theater.
I did too.
And I've been a huge fan of that film since it released. But it always goes back to 2020 when I showed it to my girlfriend for the first time, and I showed her those movies literally back to back to back. Where it ended, and she goes, "Can we watch Shrek?" Or a Toy Story or something else, please. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Why do you like these depressing films? And I'm like, but they're so good. She goes, they were great, but Jesus. And she like even tells me, she's like, I never want to see these movies again. I'm good with the one time. But yeah, I thought it was every time someone mentions Sevens, it just triggers that.
And that's the point. Something could be depressing and quote unquote joyless and still be really well executed.
Yeah.
But like Seven is joyless, but incredibly well executed. I think this is well executed, but I think there is, as I was saying, there's a bit of joy here. So that's why I wasn't attacking your friend here. I wasn't attacking your partner. I just was thinking of that, and I'm like, no, I just love the Penguin.
Yeah.
Rick, what do you what were your overall thoughts on the film?
So I treated it very different from you guys. I also, coming into it, I'd only ever seen the one trailer. A couple weeks ago, when you guys brought it up about watching trailers, I was like, hey, I don't do that. If I want to see a movie like I'm in, I want to walk in and not know anything about it. So when I saw this movie, I walked in, didn't know what to expect. And for the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I was just like smiling like I was watching No Way Home. And
Nice.
then Billy got up and left. And that kind of threw me off of what was going on in the movie theater. For 15 minutes, I was wondering if he was all right, because how could he possibly walk out of this movie? And then I censored myself and kept watching the movie. And I feel like I got really nitpicky towards the end. And I don't know how I feel about this film yet. And I didn't rush for a second viewing, because a lot of times you listen to a Kanye West album and you don't like it. And then you listen to it 6 times and it's the best album you've ever heard. So I kind of want to like think about that first
I actually
viewing.
really like that analogy, because it happened with me with Yeezus, where I hated it the first time, and after like 3 listens, I was like, "This shit's a masterpiece." So
Right. Like even Life of Pablo, I did that with, and I kind of liked that one when I first heard it. 8 listens, I loved it. So with this movie, I wanted to like think about it for a whole week, hear what other people think about it, and then go back and watch it again and like have a really solid feel for it. So I have a lot of opinions. I'm with you there on Penguin. A lot of things that I'm sure we'll get deeper into. I mean, I really want to explore the element of where watching Alfred play Sudoku for like an hour is like masterful detective work. And I mean, I don't even play Wordle. I don't even play Wordle, but I feel like Alfred was just like playing Wordle for like 40 minutes.
I play
That's awesome.
Sudoku every day. Every day in the morning. Every day I play Sudoku in the morning, so I'm good with that.
You would have solved all of the Riddler's riddles. Anyway,
I like that.
I love to get into these elements of it, because, like I said, I'm with you guys. It's like 8 out of 10 for me. I was smiling, super happy. Can't wait for the rewatch. However, there's a lot of things, not including the Penguin. I love the Penguin. Really excited.
He's great.
Yeah, Penguin's great. Really excited for future things to come from that role. But I also want to, I don't know why, and you guys tell me what you think, and I don't want to skip ahead too much. I feel like the roles of Gordon, and like I said, I don't want to skip too much, but this will be like my final thought on things, really. Gordon and the head mobster, Falcone, I really feel like you could have switched the actors and gotten a better film out of the overall thing.
That's a hot take. I like that, though.
That is a boiling hot take. I can't see that. I can't see Andy Serkis as a mobster.
No. He's talking. No. He was talking about Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright. I'm
sorry, Gordon. I'm sorry. I don't know why you said that.
And Turturro, right?
Yeah.
Earl.
Jeffrey Wright as Carmine Falcone. Wow.
And I don't know if you guys seen Shaft, where he plays Primo. And he
I love Shaft, dude.
Yo, he nails that role. He nails that role. When he grabs a fucking knife and he's stabbing himself in the middle of the street, like
on Peoples, these Peoples.
Yeah, Peoples. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Not Primo, Peoples. Yeah, Peoples.
Yeah. You must kill me. You must kill me.
I really like that take a lot. Actually, that's not a bad take at all. But the reason, the thing is that I've seen it with Jeffrey Wright already, and I feel like he nailed the role as Gordon. So that's the only take back I have. I felt that one of the strongest things about this film, and it's usually the relationship, which I'm going to talk about more about Pattinson in a little bit, but the relationship with him and Alfred has always been very, very, very tight, right?
Yeah.
We don't get that in this film. Alfred is in the movie very, very little, and I love just seeing, because you always see him, obviously, The Gordon we obviously forget about is the Pat Hingle in the Burton Schumacher films. But once you started getting like a serious Gordon, as we did with Michael Caine, and we see that relationship between them, it's very strong. And I thought that was never going to be beatable. But I felt like Jeffrey Wright fucking nailed it. And I like the back and forth, that jail scene where where he's telling him what to do, and they're like and he's the movie had a lot of great comedic moments overall, but that scene for me when he's like clear the room and all that, and then he's telling him how to escape, then he sees him after he punches his way out, and he tells him you should have hold those punches back. I don't know, it was just that dynamic between them was so great. Yeah. One of those dynamics between them has been it was, for me, it was great.
Yeah.
But I actually liked that because I have seen Wright as a villain, and I know he can nail that character perfectly. But I can't say that I'm mad about the choice we got. You got me?
No.
But
at least they didn't kill him off in one movie.
Tape.
It's true.
Thank you. At least they
I
didn't
was
kill
a
him
little
off in one
worried.
movie. That's the good
I
thing.
was worried about someone getting killed off in one movie. That was something that did worry me, though.
Yeah. Well, Izzy, what were your overall thoughts on the film?
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Izzy. Just in case I'm new to this channel, so it's nice to be here. I saw the movie last night, and though I will say it's not my favorite Batman movie, I'm gonna start right there. But it's not the worst Batman movie, right? It is actually one of the best portrayals of Batman I've ever seen in a movie. The best comparison I could give it for myself personally is it is Batman the Animated Series done live action. The only catch to me is that it was not a kid's movie. So I don't care about the PG-13 R thing. I think you could do a good movie with PG-13, and I understand why they do that kind of stuff, right? But in this particular movie, it was a PG-13 just because they only dropped one F-bomb and little things like that. Everything else, this movie 10, 15 years ago would have been an R-rated movie. Just how things have changed. So the overall take of the movie was that this was an adult Batman movie. And what I felt in the movie, I wasn't blown away by it, to be quite honest, but that didn't mean I didn't enjoy it, right? And yeah, I understood that it was a little long in certain parts. I agree. I understand that it feels like it goes by fast in some parts, but in some parts it's like, okay, guys, can we just get to this and stuff like that? Especially for me personally, in the ending, I felt like that ending should have been put more in the middle rather than in the ending, because I understood what they were doing and where they were going for with that. But I was like, the good stuff already happened for me. You know what I mean? Like the Penguin car chase, that was great. Seeing the Riddler being the Riddler was awesome. And the fact that I know we're going to talk about each person, but the fact that Paul Dano was able to give me a Riddler I enjoy as far as being a Riddler, but he also threw in a little bit of Frank Gorshin in there, which I was shocked by. The Frank Gorshin giggle was something that it shocked me when he was doing it. And for me personally, one of my favorite scenes besides the obvious was him doing his last cast, and he says, "Hi guys," and he's talking to his group. That thing cracked me up. It was like, oh, this guy's actually funny, even though he's scary as hell. So,
and that's what makes it even scarier.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, the fact that he's doing pretty much what we're doing right now, right? Because I'm looking at, he has a Twitch stream going on here, and it's just, all of it's great. I love Jeffrey Wright. It's great to see Jeffrey Wright in a movie, especially like this, because he has the right mustache. First of all, to play Gordon, you got to have the mustache. That's one.
Yeah.
Two, he has such a great presence in the movie, and his dynamic with Batman in particular is that they made it into a buddy cop movie. So it was Seven in the sense that it's, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, right? It really is. So I love that. Zoe Kravitz was good. I think we didn't get enough Andy Serkis as Alfred, but I think I understood why. And I actually did like John Turturro as Falcone, because when he showed up, he was like, "Oh no, he's taking it. This is his moment." Every time he
Yeah.
showed up, it's his moment, and that
Mhm.
was the great. And then there's some, everybody else that was in the movie that we don't even talk about that was in it. That I'm sure we're going to talk about. Like a certain guy shows up at the end that we were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
knew it was happening, though. I kind of knew it was happening. Some of the spoilers did come out.
Yeah,
So it's
No,
why
sure.
yeah.
I was a little.
I actually heard those spoilers as well. So
I heard them a
when
while
saw
ago
it,
too.
I thought so did I, and I thought honestly that it was bullshit. I was like, no, there's no way that they're gonna leak something like this. And then when it happened, I was like, oh shit, I guess they were right. I'm like, I guess they were true.
But it was actually a leak. It wasn't
Yeah.
intentional leak. It was a all crap. We leaked something we really weren't supposed to leak. So
Yeah,
Well, the interesting thing was that IGN though had an interview that I had shared with Rick and Jason before, and I sent it to Jada. I think that Matt Reeves did an interview and said that they actually shot alternate scenes with him as another character, as a cop,
yeah.
and just to throw
He's
people off
casted
the set.
on IMDb.
Yeah,
He's casted as that police officer,
yeah, he's casted
Yeah.
as an officer. Yeah.
as an
they
officer
went.
on
That's
IMDb.
above and beyond next level
Yeah.
misdirection shit, though.
For sure.
It's like, oh wait, it got out there. We
Absolutely.
gotta fix this. You
Now,
spent
if
money
we watch
on
if
it.
you watch the movie again, if you get a chance to watch it like really in depth, like to get the Easter eggs, he may actually be a background cop in the movie. Just to throw that off, right? Like shoot that since they shot some scenes. So who knows? The craziest things have happened.
Yeah, and I know there's a deleted scene that they're going to have on the Blu-ray, where there was also another scene where Batman goes to visit him in prison, and they have a conversation in Arkham. So it'll be interesting to see that.
I read that as well. I read that they had their history already, and he's the one that puts him in there. So I thought that
But
was
not
pretty interesting
as
well.
not as the character that we're led to believe.
I mean, we
that
could
he
say
will
it,
be,
right? It's just
Yeah, we got that ticker in the bottom, right?
band down there.
We
I don't know
got
if
that
you
ticker
see
that
that.
says it just
Yeah.
says spoiler. So let's
Yeah,
It's
well,
the
whatever.
fucking Joker.
It
We
is.
can start. Yeah, I was
All
going to go to Batman, but yeah, like as the Joker, like that's who he's going to be. So they
Now,
has
I
a
will-
history with him, but not as the Joker yet. Like there's no face paint, there's no nothing like that. He's not
What
that yet. So that's what I thought was interesting.
You notice that his face is completely fucked too. Because
Yeah, there was
Yes.
some weird stuff going on.
Yeah. My friend was like, "Yo, that was Two-Face, right?" I was like, "No, man, it was fucking Joker." He says clowns and he starts laughing hysterically.
But you
Yeah.
know
And
what was
then-
so great about that? The fact that they were comparing their laughters,
Yes.
Yeah.
which cracked
I
me
want
up.
so that's one of the things that you said that they had said earlier, saying that the movie was over and you're like, I kind of don't want the movie to finish, right? With the we know we're arresting the Riddler right now, but I kind of don't want it to finish. I was ready for another 3 hours of just Joker and Riddler just causing some mayhem and seeing what our boy Bats was gonna do about that, man. I was ready. I'm ready for that sequel right now.
No, me too.
My only thing with that, if he's not the Joker yet, is that Joker gang. That's totally a Joker gang that we see during the movie.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I'm
I
joking.
thought the same in the beginning of the film. I thought that as well. I'm like, does Joker exist already? Are the people painting their faces, or is it because it was Halloween?
I
There
took
was
it
a
as
little bit
because
of-
it was Halloween.
I think there
Yeah.
was a little bit of Halloween in it, but I do agree that there was some Joker references going
Some
on there.
influences, right?
Looks
Yeah,
like Heath
throughout the-
Ledger's makeup.
Well, throughout the whole movie, there was a lot of drawbacks to all other movies. Like there's scenes in this movie that were taken directly from other movies. Like Batman in the club beating up people. You ain't gonna tell me that wasn't from Dark Knight. That
That's
was
Dark
like
Knight.
carbon. That's carbon copy Dark Knight. Or Batman running from the cops. That's classic Batman Begins. So it was very clear that Matt Reeves was drawing a lot of his inspiration from Dark Knight, but he also wanted to do a detective movie. That was the other thing I failed to mention is that, I said Batman the Animated Series done live action is because it was a detective movie more than anything else, right? And
No, for sure.
and as a detective movie, we didn't get as much action as we do from other Batman movies, but at the same time, it's like, it's a Batman movie and you're gonna get that stuff. But in this one, it was like, we're gonna pull it back a little bit so that we could focus on this part that you haven't seen as many times as you want. And of course, many people have been asking for it. So why people didn't like it? Because it wasn't their traditional Batman movie. But it was the movie that we read in comics.
And I'm going to
Yeah.
say that I think the action that we get is really good. Like they do scale it back. Like it doesn't look it never looked to me like it was a choreographed dance. And a lot of action movies nowadays, a lot of superhero movies, a lot of Star Wars movies, it all looks to me like it's a choreographed dance. It's awesome. It looks great. I like watching it. But there was something about the fights in this, the few fights we get with Batman versus the villains, whoever is fighting, that it seemed real. Like it didn't seem, and of course it's choreographed, but it didn't feel like it was a dance. It felt like it actually was people fighting, and I want to give credit to the movie for that because there was a rawness because of it.
Yeah, his fights. I guess that's a good transition where we could start by hitting the characters, and we obviously would start off with Robert Pattinson as Batman, slash Bruce Wayne. Plus, that's also the one that has been the controversial, the whole controversial thing that hit because every time a Batman is cast, people have to, jump off
It's
their house
normal.
and everything.
I love
Yeah.
that you guys shared what you shared with Michael Keaton yesterday. That was incredible.
That's crazy. I've never seen that
Yeah.
letter.
I've never seen that before in my life.
I was around
in
to
awe.
see it.
Is
I
he
was
like,
in
wait, I
awe,
signed
man.
it.
No, I didn't. I never said I signed it. I
I'm joking.
remember when we were talking about it. So, 89 is a long time ago for me personally. I was becoming a teenager, I'll say.
Shit,
I was
3.
becoming Yeah, I know. Okay,
And I
that's
saw the
enough of
movie.
that.
I saw the movie in theater too. I remember that was one of my first cinematic experience, and I was like obsessed. So
Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I saw Batman in theater. It was awesome.
So
Mhm.
it was
But
one
I
of
was
those
great.
things that when we heard the news, we got the news several months earlier. I don't even know if it was years, but we got the news several months earlier, and it was Beetlejuice didn't become a thing yet, right? So we hear about this movie, and we're excited because it's Batman. Dark Knight Returns just came out maybe just a few years ago, so everybody's pumped up about Batman, and there was a bit of a bat craze going on before the movie. And then when we hear Michael Keaton being cast as Batman, all we saw was Mr. Mom
Yeah,
was
of
being
course.
cast at Batman, and we were like, "Oh no, we're going to Adam
He's
West."
known for all his comedies back then.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what we had as Batman, right? We didn't have anything besides Adam West Batman, which, by the way, I still love Adam West Batman, right? There's a place
Yeah.
for him.
No, there's definitely
But
a place for it.
that's all we had prior to 89 was Adam West or different carnations of the same Adam West character, because the cartoons was pretty much the same thing, and there was some cartoons that even feature Adam West as the voice actor
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Burt Ward. So so when you get Mr. Mom, we're like, oh, we're going back to the 1966 approach. So
Yeah, you thought you were gonna get a campy Batman.
mhm.
And,
No, I
and
can
with
only
this
imagine.
one-
I can imagine that. I can imagine that craze, man. Back then, and back then we don't get the news like we get it now. Like everything's
No.
available at the,
Oh
and
no,
then
it was like an
overnight, you have to
ET
literally wait.
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine. It must have been
No.
fucking wild, dude.
It was nuts.
With no internet, it seemed like it was like, you had to like hear about it from somewhere or something like that. Now it's like
Yeah.
it's all over, which this was like, I still feel like this backlash wasn't as much as when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman. I felt like it was on the cover of the newspapers. People really lost their minds for whatever reason. This was more like, oh, okay, so we're getting Robert Pattinson. Oh, the Twilight guy.
We're getting
like,
Twilight.
fucking-
That-
yeah,
but
everyone
that's-
jumped right to that.
They never,
Yeah,
Even though
but-
the dude had so
we're
many
getting
roles.
Edward.
But it was
Yeah.
because of one
people
thing.
Sleep on him, dude.
It was
Sleep
because
on
of
him.
one thing. The reason why we didn't get the same backlash as we probably would have gotten if, let's just say, he was cast right after Twilight, you would have gotten that backlash. But the reason why it wasn't as strong is because he was doing movies. He was doing a lot of low budget movies,
Mhm.
but the quality of those movies made you say, "Oh, this guy gets this character."
He has a job.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
I
Right?
feel
So
also
That's
and-
what it
oh,
was
go
with
ahead,
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with
I
Patterson,
feel-
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, my bad, bro. Go ahead.
It's okay. No, but with Patterson in particular, he's the type of actor that he gets involved in the character. He wants to make sure he understands the character. And you know what? His performance as Batman Bruce Wayne is very different from everyone else's, right? Very different. And what I did like was that this Batman in particular wasn't as polished as everyone before him, right?
Yeah.
This Batman, when he fell, he was like, I fell. You know what I mean? And things like that. And you know, when he fought, he made mistakes. He didn't solve all the riddles properly. So
Right.
it was really nice to see a Batman that was flawed, because every time we see Batman, he's the perfect human. And
Yeah.
you know, and
I
to this
100%
point,
agree.
I agree
you know,
100%
so
with you, man. So
Yeah, like I know, like I watching it, like I at first, because I love Batman, right? Batman's my favorite. I want to see him perfect all the time. And there are times when he as Batman eats shit in this movie.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like he has that moment where he's parachuting off with, like, I don't know, the flying squirrel costume, whatever
which
he's
was
got
super
on.
dope.
It
Which
was
is
really
awesome.
cool. Like,
No, it
I
was
thought
that was
the hell
so
did that come
awesome.
from?
Super awesome. But like he doesn't stick the landing, and like
Yeah.
you literally see him limp off, pissed off, because he's like, oh god, I screwed that up.
What I kept saying throughout his mistakes was like, it's only year 2, guys. Year 2. We're
Right?
good. You know,
No,
like,
that's it. But I really enjoyed that, because there is a fallibility to this Batman. And I'll be honest, like, so I know we were asked to rank the Batman and Batman / Bruce Wayne, but I rank them differently, because I think how you play Batman, how you play Bruce Wayne is very different. And some people get it and both, and some people can only do one. And I'm going to say that, like, I don't think there is a Bruce Wayne in this movie. But I also think it's intentional. I think it has to do with the fact that we see Batman fucking up so many times. We see Batman, like, insult Selena Kyle to the, like, where he pretty much, like, says, yeah, well, you know, you're trash, what you do. And then he's like, and she calls him out like, no, this is the reality. He's like, you're right,
you
I'm
must be
sorry I
born
said
rich.
that.
She literally
Yeah,
told
that's
him,
it,
so
yeah,
she
you must
throws
be
out
born rich.
she throws out that line like,
That's it.
you must be born
So
rich. Like, you don't know what
exactly
it's like.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Going back to the whole casting thing, quickly. I feel at least with my friends, right? When I asked, the backlash wasn't crazy as you know, Affleck and all that, because if my friends have seen Robert Pattinson, like his indie films or his other films, they already know he has the chops. But a lot of them are like, I'm not gonna judge just because we've been proven wrong before. It was proven wrong with Heath Ledger. When Heath Ledger got casted, I was one again, and I've said this a million times. I probably said this a million times on this show. I was one that was not for that whatsoever. I was completely pissed that
Same here,
they
man.
had Heath Ledger, and I
I
have
literally
that
said,
I have the man's face tatted on my leg now. You know, like I have a Joker
That's
Heath Ledger
awesome.
tattoo on my leg. And so it happens with that. Affleck, say what you will about the movies, man. Affleck, I felt like he did a hell of a role as Batman. So I feel like a lot of people have been proven wrong, or people that hate it that much, and then they finally see the final product. And it's something that I've never, when they casted Robert Pattinson, I'm like, all right, he has the acting chops. He never had the body, which is still one of my complaints about the film. I felt like he was still a little bit too skinny, but that's fine. This is an early Batman, kind of piggybacking of what Jason said now. There's a reason why we don't have a Bruce Wayne in this film. He's not there yet. He's not that playboy philanthropist that we're used to seeing.
He didn't get it yet.
He's not there yet. So I've always kind of not judge Batman, but for me, he's 3 characters. He's, you know, Bruce Wayne, how he has to be in the public. He is Batman, and he is Bruce Wayne, how he can act around with Alfred, right? So that the vulnerable Bruce Wayne, not the showman that he has to show off, like, you know, or be that front and center guy. So I feel like there's always 3 different ones, and we didn't have that yet because he's not there yet. You have to understand, again, it comes with the vulnerability. It comes with him still fucking up, and that's okay.
Right.
That's why I honestly feel like they crushed this shit, at least with him, because he's just not there yet. And we're like, oh, but he wasn't a good Bruce Wayne, because he's not there yet. You have to understand how
and I
early
think
on this is.
the purpose,
He's
the
an angry
movie,
person.
the movie makes it very clear that that is the intent. Because you get to the end of this movie, because look, let me tell you something. If I didn't think the movie justified that there was no Bruce Wayne, I'd be super pissed, because it's one of my favorite parts of Batman is that dichotomy, right? But when we get to the end of this movie and he's like, I'm vengeance, and then he's like, this is what vengeance does. I've got to be better. He literally says, I have to learn how to be better. It's like, no, so like, this is it. There's no Bruce Wayne because he hasn't learned to be better yet. And that is the next movie. And I'm hoping we get another movie and we get to see him develop.
Oh, it's happening. It's going to happen already. Well, they greenlit.
Of course it's happening.
I think they're going to get, I think we're getting 3, brother.
I just want to see
hoping we get more.
I want to see him develop the Bruce Wayne persona more in the next one.
Yeah, I think we will get that in the second one. I think that's going to be one of the main things about the next film, that he's going to have to learn how to balance that. Which
I think one way to describe this movie that I think now after seeing it twice is this movie is very much for Batman / Bruce Wayne is a coming of age story of the Batman in general. And like piggybacking on what you guys are saying, and I definitely echo that he is learning how to be Bruce Wayne. Like, he doesn't have to do the showmanship version of it, but he's just one person now. And a lot of the Dark Knight trilogy talks about how the mask is the real person and Bruce Wayne is, the mask, like the suit is. But this movie really goes there much further than even the Dark Knight trilogy did. And I thought that trilogy did a great job of it. This takes it to the next level where he is so far gone that he has no idea who Bruce Wayne even is. Yeah. Especially like the scene where he tells Alfred to kind of like, I don't care about any of it, get lost and stuff like that. Like, you're not my father and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I know. That right there tells you where he's at mentally, completely. Yeah. Because he would in none of the other movies, he never says that to Alfred.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Which we see what happens to Alfred, and then you already see that he's like, holy shit, I almost lost somebody I love. The hand reached the whole 9. He's gonna learn how to appreciate who Alfred is, who is the father figure, so on and so forth, man. I don't know. Personally, I've always thought that Pattinson was like a Streisand, but he rocked the shit out of it.
But now that you mentioned that, one thing that the Nolan films did fell on, what the Nolan film did not do well, which I love the Nolan films, even Rises. There was reason why Rises didn't work the way it was supposed to work, because Heath Ledger really was supposed to come back in some way. But where Nolan didn't do well was the transition, where this one's doing that transition, right? From orphan boy to Batman. In the Nolan films, he went from orphan boy to Batman in 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Literally buying the fucking restaurant that the girls were fucking, dipping.
Yeah, so to the point that when he gets Falcone in the first movie, where they're going and he first becomes Batman, he becomes Batman like I'm Batman now, and that's it. He go through.
No, he left for years and trained.
He did the training, but we have to assume this version of Batman did the training too. I don't think this version of Batman had to have gone through some kind of training, because you don't just become that good. Even though he was flawed, he was still pretty damn good, and he did a lot of the work himself too. But he comes back to Gotham in the Nolan films, Batman Begins, but it wasn't really Batman Begins in the sense that it was, okay, he's Batman and now he's going to be perfect moving forward. He wasn't flawed with the exceptions of maybe some little things here and there, but this version of Batman said, no, this guy's been around for 2 years, and in the 2 years, he still is working it out, and he's still trying to figure it out. This was more, even though it was a year 2 movie, it felt like watching or reading year 1. Especially when you have the moments where he's narrating. I was like, oh, I'm hearing year 1 in my head. I love and year 1 is by far my favorite Batman story, more so than Dark Knight Returns. I love year 1.
The narration kind of brought me to like Long Halloween.
There was, I think the Halloween thing was.
They had a lot of mixes between different.
But this one felt more like year 1 than Long Halloween for me.
Yeah, there was also year 0 and stuff like that with the Riddler stuff.
And also, I think it's cool. Like, this wasn't an origin story. but it was like the second story in the tale. You know, like you get a sense that like there was an origin story in this particular Batman's legacy. We're not getting it. We don't need to get it. We all fucking have seen Martha's pearls burst and his.
I just really
seen
wish
it.
I knew how Batman's parents died. I needed to see that in this
You
movie.
Yeah,
needed
I
to
know.
see it. You didn't know that it was a shot and the pearls.
Some weird thing, maybe in an alley. I
We
guess.
don't need
I
to see the
wish I-
pearls. We don't
I-
need to
I
see
wish I
Uncle Ben,
knew.
right?
No.
We know already.
But I love that this was not the origin story. It was, I've been doing this a while, but I'm still not good at it. It's just the sequel to the origin story without the origin story, which is like why I said it's like Batman Year 2. It's the unofficial one because I know that was made into that was a comic, but I know this isn't it. But that's what this feels like.
In some ways, kind of like how we got Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah,
Rick,
there's a lot of the
what were your-
same themes in the two.
I'm baffled to hear you and Jason be apologists for this interpretation of Bruce Wayne. You're the same two gentlemen that tore Val Kilmer to shreds for being a block of wood. But
Yeah.
Twilight, he's not Bruce Wayne yet.
Because
Uh,
what is
Val
that's the
Kilmer
excuse
took
for him
over.
acting like little Nicky Wayne. All
because
like that, emo.
He was
Like
very
that.
emo. I'll give him that much.
Dad.
look,
Yeah, I
here's the
didn't
thing.
get that at all.
I
Yeah, I didn't see any
don't
of
like
that.
I don't like the Bruce Wayne we get here, but I feel the Bruce
All right.
Wayne is intentional. Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne is not intentional.
Val Kilmer
That's-
tried his hardest to be
Yeah.
Michael Keaton.
I don't.
Like, he really it was like, yo, play Michael Keaton. Don't play Batman. Just be Michael Keaton playing
You
Batman.
can't tell
No,
me that.
we
you think the problem
we
is-
had this
Wait, 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 wait,
conversation,
wait.
which is
Yes.
why I'm pulling both of your cards right now for calling him flat and then apologizing for this guy saying that he's not Bruce Wayne yet.
Well, I think there's no apologizing. It's just simple. It's clear as day.
Yeah,
You have
it's
Batman
it's
in
what the
year
movie's
2
telling
versus
us.
Batman in like year 10. Like, what are you talking about?
like
Oh,
here,
now we're
and
getting
here's the thing:
backstory.
Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne.
I mean, that's what it is.
Imagined backstory.
Val
No,
Kilmer's
he was
Bruce
in 2
Wayne.
movies already.
Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne is also supposed to be canonically Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
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 So,
So he's been
when
Batman for a long time.
you tell me that you watched Batman 89 and then watch Batman Forever and say, yeah, that jives well with me.
The same guy. I can see that. Yeah.
As opposed
Absolutely.
to what I'm saying here is
He just gets better looking. That's all.
the Bruce.
Can you imagine Val
Fair
Kilmer
enough.
as Mr.
Yeah, he
Mom?
does become Iceman.
Fine like wine, bro. Fine like wine.
This Bruce Wayne doesn't exist, but it is an intentional choice. Now I'm going to say this. If the next movie, there isn't an exploration of Bruce Wayne and we get the same thing, I'm going to be singing a different tune. But I think this movie does its part to set up that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not Bruce Wayne yet. He hasn't figured out that he has to be two different characters. I'm not making that up. I think that is in the text of this movie, whereas that is not in the text of Batman Forever. So I think it's unfair to call me on the carpet for those.
Yeah, exactly.
those
Batman
things.
Forever.
And
Batman
by the way, in
Forever.
Batman Begins, it gets touched on also where Alfred literally tells Bruce, you have to be Bruce Wayne because you have these bruises, you have all this shit, and people are gonna start wondering what the hell's going on. You need to start coming up with something. And he even tells Alfred, no, I don't care. I'm doing my job. And he's like, no, you need to start keeping up appearances. And that's when he asks him, like, well, what does someone like me do? And that's when he's like talks about buying hotels and driving sports cars and all this other shit. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna go pretend to be that. Meanwhile, I'm doing my real job in the Batcave. So it's addressed in both movies, just slightly different, ways to go about it. So that's why I think
But
the Bruce Wayne we get in this totally makes sense. He's just pissed off and angry and wants to put the fear of God into every single person he encounters and doesn't care about anything else, including Alfred. He doesn't give a shit about Alfred in the beginning of this movie at all.
No, at all.
so my opinion on Wayne. Now, Batman, I have the complete opposite opinion of. This is easily my favorite on-screen portrayal of a in uniform Batman.
Yo, we got him for
I
like
think
2
it's
hours
really
and 25
strange.
minutes.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
right.
There you go.
But
See,
I
Tim
think it
knows.
was a really strange decision for them to say that he should lose every fight that he's in to endear himself to us, to show us how like real his world is. He gets knocked out in numerous scenes. It's
I
like
mean,
he didn't
Well, the
have to be
first-
so fragile. Like I get
No,
it. He's a
the
human
the first scene that we see him in, when we first see Batman, and you hear, which by the way is done multiple times in this movie, and I love it. You hear the footsteps literally.
Yeah.
You know the term. You know, you heard the footsteps coming. You hear him coming, and he fights that gang and saves the guy from being mugged. Dude, he beats the piss out of those guys like unmercifully. And yes, he takes a couple of hits here and there, but he beats the piss out of him. The one guy, after he's knocked out, he keeps on pounding on him. And that's when he's like, you know, that he's vengeance. And he just, I mean, the rest of them pretty much like shit their pants, especially like the one kid who was just like, I'm out of here, you know, screw this.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that particular version, we talked a lot about Bruce Wayne, so let's talk a little bit more about Batman in this case. What I would say is there was elements that I absolutely loved. I loved his fighting style because it was brutal. It was because Batman, you see, another thing that we get from the Nolan film is that he has one rule, right? So that means the other rules mean that he could beat the crap out of somebody to the point that they're near dead, but not dead yet because he won't kill, right? And I do like that fact that this one really does let us know he's not about the guns. He's even telling Gordon, is like,
no guns.
And that's your thing.
I
love that line.
I'm telling you, there was a lot of comedic moments.
Yeah,
like
there was moments
subtleties.
that were funny.
Yeah.
There was at the same time there was some moments that I laughed, and I don't think that laughter was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that going on. So I will say what I did kind of got tired of was the slow walk. I think he slowed walk so many times it was driving me nuts. You know what I mean? It was like, okay.
I have to.
The movie's 3 hours because he slows walk for at least 2.5.
There's a lot of things that they
that.
cut, like him glaring and him looking away. Like there's things that you can cut in this movie. You could have made it shorter.
Yeah, he could have walked a little bit faster, guys.
If Batman ran, it would have been an hour and a half long.
100% that there are things in this movie you could have cut. I'm not.
It was like Lord of the Rings and Batman.
But
you know what I mean?
I'm gonna say
get
this
crazy
though.
now. That movie's like 2 hours of walking and like story for about 20 minutes. So it's like crazy.
I actually did like the slow walk Batman. I have to admit that. Like when the Penguin is flipped over and the Penguin's like caught
best shot
there.
of the film. I'm sorry.
No, it is.
Best shot of the film.
And
I'm
there's
not
fire
saying.
all around. And when the Batman gets out and just slowly walks over to him, I thought that was super menacing. And I thought that really said a lot about this Batman. Like, I'll chase you when I have to, but once I have you, I'm in no rush.
No, and there's
I like that.
There's things about that I like. Don't get me wrong. I like a lot of it. Like in the beginning of the movie when he sees the gang members, perfect place. When he does it to Penguin, another perfect place. But man, he gets to Riddler's apartment. Oh, okay. Here you go, slow walking in Riddler's apartment. Here he goes, slow walking.
He doesn't know if it's booby trap,
That's
man.
fair.
This Batman does not run.
He's watching his ass.
Well, guys, I will say
This
something.
Batman don't run. He's a walker.
Izzy, though, I'll say one thing, and I told this to Jason, and I have a feeling Rick and Jada, I think, will agree with this, though, and we haven't even talked about it yet, is I love the fact that he did the slow walk, and again, you heard the footsteps and intimidating. It reminded me very much of like a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees. No, but in a good way, because it was intentional that he's striking the fear of God into these people, and he's approaching them like that. And in a lot of the other films, a lot of films in general, you'll just see only the villains doing that. But now you have the person who's intimidating as the one who's walking up to you slowly and like you have all these choices to make and you have none. There's no escaping him. He's going to get you one way or the other. And that's it. Yeah. And especially with the scene, which I think if you guys are ready to talk about, the introduction of the Batmobile.
I was gonna say, what is your favorite scene, guys? Because
come on, that is my favorite scene.
That
Jada,
was mine, man.
Jada, take it because I can tell, I can sense.
Before you answer, the minute you just see that engine rev up.
That rev,
Yeah.
man. That
Oh,
rev for me, I
man,
was like, oh my god, what is
'Cause
going on, bro?
I saw
Yes.
the scene in trailers, right? I saw the scene in trailers, but it's something about hearing the sound in the theater.
See it,
right?
watch it play out though. Watching
Yeah,
it play
and
out.
watch
How
it
they
like-
were
Context.
literally. You just found out what happened to Annika. You just see the fucking guns blazing by the penguin in his head, and and then you just see this man obviously get shot. He's on the floor. Catwoman's fucking going crazy. Penguin walks around. He's not there no more, and you just hear that engine go and just starts revving. Holy shit, bro! Holy shit! I lost my mind. Now, the one thing I didn't like about that scene is literally him revving it, and I understood it, and the car got kind of like stops.
Yeah.
That was like the bad placement comedic time for me personally, because that should have just been an all action, just fucking get in there and this fucking guy.
All about
But,
family.
but that's the only thing. Everybody in the theater lost their shit laughing and all that. But for me, I'm like, that wasn't the right time for that. I felt like it just should have. But right after that engine goes and that chase happens, it was such an incredible chase scene. The score to it, Giacchino, is something I haven't seen a lot of people mention, but the score to this film is so fucking incredible.
Yeah, it is.
It rivals it for, I mean, and I'm sure we're gonna talk about favorite scores and all that a little bit later, but it rivals some of the best. And it does so much. But that scene itself, that chase scene, is one of the best chase scenes I think I've ever seen in a Batman film. If not, it is definitely my favorite, probably my favorite chase scene. I'm trying to think right now quickly, if I can think of anything
Right.
better.
Joker
But
shooting
it's-
like missile at Batman in the underpass.
Yeah. Oh, and
No,
in the
when the
that's
tumbler
right, in the
becomes
Dark Knight.
the cycle, that scene is, I could say that's the
Yeah.
comparison, right?
No, and I
Because
saw that
when-
movie last night. I saw
When the
movie last
tumbler
night, man.
changes, right, and you hear the slow thing going, you don't know what's
Just-
going on. You don't expect you don't expect the
No.
tumbler to turn into a cycle, right? It had that same feeling to it, because it's like you knew the car was coming. You knew the Batmobile was
Yeah.
coming, because they show it all over every single trailer, right? And what you see is what I like. Another thing I did like is that you see him work. Even though you don't see him
In the
working the
background,
vehicle,
you don't see him,
but
yeah,
you
but
see
it.
you see parts of the car. Oh, okay, you see it there. It's there.
Yeah,
It's getting ready. It's getting made, and then you get it. Then you get to see that it's actually been made. That was cool. And like I said, when it comes to the tumbler, when the tumbler changes into the cycle, I remember when that scene happens, and everybody in the movie theater just went, "Whoa!" because
Yeah.
totally unexpected, and it was perfectly placed.
so
I
it's
will
crazy that you
say-
said that. I saw that movie last night with a first timer yesterday. Right?
Really, a first
Oh,
timer to the Dark
Yeah,
Knight.
so
What?
my daughter's 7. She's very
Okay.
young, and
Okay,
she
that.
she keeps seeing seeing previews to the Batman, because obviously it's the craziest week. Everywhere we turn on the TV, there's a small preview. She goes, "Daddy, I really want to see that movie." And I tell her, "I don't think it's for you." And she goes, "Why? Is it bloody?" I'm like, "It's not that it's bloody. It's long, and it has a little bit of boring parts. There's a lot of talking in it. I don't think it's for you." And long story short, I'm like, "Let's put you to the test. I'm going to show you a movie. If you like this movie, we're going to go." I didn't start with Batman Begins because there's a lot of exploring to do in that movie. It takes us time to get where it's going. So I ended up showing her The Dark Knight last night. And I saw it with her, and I saw it with my aunt that has never seen a single Batman film in her life. She said that she saw pieces of the 89 Batman, but she's like, "Oh, I don't like fantasy films. I don't like superhero movies. It's not really my thing." She likes, like, she actually verbatim said, "I like courtroom dramas and this." I'm like, "Sit down." Right. So I showed her The Dark Knight last night. I shit you not. My aunt is watching this movie, right? And she's just like, kind of like, "Wow, she's not like openly say it, but there's certain scenes where you can tell she's like, "Jesus, this is good." And she goes, "This is a good movie." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." It's the best. So it's slowly but surely, but that scene comes on, and the Batmobile gets all fucked up. My daughter's like, "What's gonna happen?" She sees the wheel, the rev as it's going and turning, and as soon as he comes out in the bike, I swear to God that both of them, same thing, went, "Wow!" And I was like, "Holy shit, man!" 14 years later, right? Yeah, 14 years later, and it still hits everybody the first time they see that scene because it's so good. It's so good. So
It is
thank
such a
you for bringing
perfect
that up,
scene,
man.
and the follow up to it was when he flips the truck, and then the
Oh
when
yeah,
the
no,
sniper
and that's
goes on
another
the-
wow moment. That was another wow moment for them. They were like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
But I have a feeling though this scene with the Batmobile from the Batman is going to also have that same kind of effect, you know, moving forward with anyone sees that. And I've never seen the introduction of a car be that impactful as it
like a
was.
character.
This.
The
It was
car
his own
itself is a
character.
But the
Yeah,
Batmobile has
absolutely.
always been a character.
Well,
so
since
even-
'89, it
I
has
agree.
been his own character.
Not
Yeah,
even
no,
since
I-
'89, guys. Not even since '89. Come on.
Not
man, I love
that
even, that man.
I
one,
agree, but that Batmobile never had no introduction like this. None
Oh, what
of
are you
them
talking
have.
about?
The
Where you think
introduction,
where you think the
No.
rev up comes from?
dude.
Watch
This
that,
thing-
watch
this
that
thing-
show again.
We did 66 a couple like 2 months ago. It feels like now because we've done all of them one by
No, you got
one.
it's the
And-
show that makes that
Yeah.
Batmobile even cooler.
But it's just this thing is a whole nother level, and the fact of what Penguin is doing right before that, when he's got the machine gun and he's shooting all over the place, he's ready to kill. You know, obviously he's trying to kill Batman there, and you know he's almost feels like he's got him on the run, and then the revving starts, and then we get that whole thing, and then after the whole fire, he's like, "Oh, you know, I got you," and all this other stuff, and then his expression when that Batmobile comes flying out of that fire, he just looks like he literally shit himself.
Did you
Like,
know
yeah,
that?
And right
Like, it is
before he says that,
Yeah.
everything's crashing, and you see him get that ramp.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, I lost my shit, man.
Did
And
you
again,
know-
I didn't see that scene. Because when I saw the trailer, I saw that was the beginning of the thing that you see the car flip over and all that. They showed that all that in the trailer, and I'm like, why would you do that? That's something I would have kept on the wraps.
Yeah.
Completely. So I was glad. I'm really glad that I started avoiding trailers seriously. After Batman versus Superman, when they showed Doomsday, where I was like, you know what,
that one they
would've
gave
made
away
them-
the farm.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
but
that's
that
something.
was a reveal that we didn't care for anyway. At the end of the day,
Yeah, but even then, I felt like it would have helped the movie. It would have helped the movie for me just a tiny bit. To be like, holy shit, they didn't do it right, but they got Doomsday at the end of the film. Had I not been expecting that already, imagine not seeing that trailer, right? And then all of a sudden, shit's going down, and you see the Trinity come up. Like that would have been so much cooler had they kept that hidden from us, but they didn't. So ever since that trailer, I've just been like, I avoid. I'll see a teaser or maybe a first trailer if there's no teaser. Teasers as far as I go, if they don't have but if the teaser's like a 15-second, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home and that's it, I'm like, no, I got to see a little bit more, right?
yeah. So,
But I'm so glad I didn't see it for this movie because as soon as I saw that second trailer, I'm like, holy shit, man! They actually showed like the car flipping and they even showed the upside down shot of him walking slowly, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? But special scene, man.
But
But no
particular
trailers
scene-
giving away the farm like the Batman versus Superman trailer from Comic-Con that year. They literally might as well just given you the movie.
Yeah,
at
because
that
they knew
point.
they
That
knew
thing was
what
the
was
worst
going
example
on.
of it.
But
Yeah.
with the car scene in particular, that shot where it was coming through the fire, I found out this week that was not CGI. That was a real car going through
that
the
was a
fire.
stunt.
That
is
that
awesome.
was
That's
a stunt
cool.
car that was going through the fire, and they made it happen. You know, going back to, you know, trailers teasing you. I don't think there was a lot of teasing going on in the trailer. Yes, as we mentioned that there were scenes that we didn't catch until towards the end, like
Yeah,
you
once you
know,
see it.
the Madison Square Garden, you know,
Gotham
Gotham
Square
Square
Garden?
Garden.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Gotham Square Garden.
But
I
that
like
whole
this.
scene where you see him, you know, rescuing people and he's all filthy, and so that's in the trailer, and it's like you thought it was such a different thing, and it ended up being that for the flood that was going on. But you know, and that's one thing I did like about No Way Home is that we didn't get the 3 Spider-Men. Sorry, spoiler for that movie.
Yeah.
But at this point, might as well. We didn't get that. We didn't get that spoiler. However, we knew it was coming. Everybody was talking about it. Even when Andrew Garfield said no, we were.
You were like, yeah, shut up, bro. We'll see you in December.
No, man, I don't know what I think Toby had it smart by hiding it out, right? But in Andrew, he had no choice because he had this other movie.
Yeah,
that
he had
was
the whole
promoting,
movie,
so
man.
he had no other choice but to say what he had to say. But yeah, that particular scene with the car, one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Just again, Colin Farrell's Penguin, man. I think he is my favorite character in this whole movie. To be quite honest, as
too.
more as I think about it, the more I'm really and trust me, Riddler is my favorite Batman villain.
Okay.
But what I have to say is Colin Farrell playing Penguin
He kills it.
was the best version of Penguin I could think of, because again, he's another one that's he's not fully Penguin, even though they're calling him Penguin.
Yeah.
He's not there yet either.
Well, they
But-
call him that because he has like a limp to him and stuff.
Well, that
I
was
think
always
that's
the
kinda,
case with
why they
him.
got that.
He was
Yeah.
always called the Penguin because of the way he looked and the way he acts. So this
And
particular version of Penguin is like he's not there yet, but
I'm gonna
he's
say
getting
this.
there too.
And I'm about to eat some shit because I made a bold statement before I saw this movie on Facebook. I made a bold statement that I didn't think anyone was ever going to be better than Burgess Meredith's Penguin, because I just never
didn't say
thought
that.
anyone could. I did say that. No, I'm being honest. Because I never thought anyone could actually do the Penguin any justice, right? Because, I'm sorry, Batman Returns, I love that movie, but that Penguin's garbage. Like the flipper and stuff. I don't like that.
I
But
don't like it. Well, we talked about it.
we talked about it, yeah.
Great stuff coming out of his mouth.
But let me tell you this. This is, you're right, Izzy. This is the best Penguin we've ever had live action. This is fantastic. I was watching this forgetting it was Colin Farrell. He was fun, and the acting was well. Everything made sense. Like, this is now my Penguin. Like, if you ask me, I'm walking it back. I'm eating my shit, right? This is the best live action Penguin. Burgess Meredith, I still love him, but he comes in a second to this guy. So I wanted to back you up on that. He's fantastic in this.
He's so
yeah, you guys
well,
are
we're
gonna
just
be
missing
fine.
that monocle, right? That monocle. That's all we're missing.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
we might,
Well, that's the
I
thing.
want-
Is,
Maybe next
get it.
movie.
Like,
we might get it.
we don't.
We might get
I
a
don't
TV
need
show.
him.
The
that's
TV
what I was
show's
about to
gonna
say.
come out.
You guys are going to
There
be
you go.
thrilled because it's getting the spinoff
That's how
on
the
HBO
first
Max.
season ends.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. And here's the thing: it's like, I like the Penguin. I don't need him to be like partially Penguin. I don't need him to have flippers. I don't need to be raised by penguins. I don't need him to have like foul around him. Like, just the fact that, like, why is he called the Penguin? I don't know. I've seen Goodfellas. Why are half of those fucking gangsters called what they're called? Who gives a shit? It's cool. Like, he's the Penguin. That's his gangster name. I'm good with just that.
So in the show, do
And
you
he
want
was
him to have the
gangster.
origin
He
of
was
the
gangster.
umbrella?
He
No,
has to
I
get-
don't-
I want the umbrella. I want it.
I don't
I
care
want
about the umbrella.
because the umbrella has there's a place for the umbrella. I don't think he needs to be fanatical or it doesn't have to shoot a parachute or
Okay,
things like
fair
that.
enough.
But it could have bullets inside. I'm cool with that, right?
Yeah.
I can
You
see
could-
that
you
working.
could pull
It's
that
like
off.
a Joker
For
buzzer.
sure.
The joke there's certain
Oh, no.
there's certain
Rick,
props.
Stop.
What do you say? Stop that.
Rick,
Relax.
Rick.
But there's
Calm
certain
down.
Don't
man.
poke the bear here.
Buzzers
Calm
in
down.
the
Certain props
brain.
that go along with
Just
the
turns
character.
into
Messing
the
with
Joker.
No,
You
but
relax.
Izzy, I completely agree with you. If he has if he has an umbrella that does something special that is not supernatural, like maybe it's an umbrella gun, or maybe it whatever it does. If they give him one, and it's just sort of like a reference to the comic, I'm all for that. I agree with you.
He can just have an umbrella and be like, I don't care, for no reason. Dude, it's raining throughout almost this entire movie.
Well, he has
There's
a
a lot
limp.
of people who could have used umbrellas in this movie.
Yeah, it does rain a lot.
Yeah. So not one of them is carrying one. So I even just having that, I'm good with it. I don't
He
care.
was like,
Yeah.
you know why I'm special? I got the one umbrella.
And that's it.
That's why I'm the boss.
I'm vengeance. Yeah, I'm the umbrella.
It's like,
Yeah.
while you are all wet, I am dry.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's all. That's
By
all
the
we
way,
really
why
need.
would a penguin need an umbrella?
Because he's
Why
not.
would they
Because
need it?
unlike Batman Returns, he's not an actual penguin.
Why would they need a tuxedo? I don't know, but that's what they're born with.
There we go. So I guess we've talked about Batman. We talked about the Penguin. Let's talk about the Riddler. That we get, who's pretty much the Zodiac killer in
I'm
this
like,
movie.
hush.
It was
Yeah,
Hush.
Yeah,
he went
it was
all
sure.
in.
Hush.
But I was, dude, I ate it all up. I love, even though
So
he
did
doesn't
I.
have a lot of screen time, but he didn't need it. Kind of like the Joker in The Dark Knight. Like, he was so effective by even not being in the film all that much, on actual screen time.
Okay, so if you allow me to go, I'm gonna go for this one
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
Riddler's my favorite character. I did not like him being the Zodiac killer. I'll tell you that much. I love the riddles because that's what makes the Riddler, right?
Mhm.
I actually enjoyed him more when he didn't have the mask on, when he was the dorky kid, right? Because that felt more like Riddler to me than this social media guy, right? Now, I understood the reasons why they did that and stuff like that, but he was drawing a little again. Riddler and Joker are two characters that are very similar in nature when it comes to Batman mythos. But what makes Riddler different in the comic books than Joker is that he's not a laughing type character. He's very into he's an intellect,
Mhm.
and he's the only person that he figures is equal to his intellect is Batman, right? So he's not meant to be a jokester in that sense. Frank Gorshin did what he did with it because pretty much what they said was, "We want you to make another Joker, so can you make another Joker?" And that's how that happened, right? But what I didn't like, first of all, I hate the costume. I still hate the costume. The costume to me did not emulate what I want my Riddler to look like. Again, the world is gonna say that's my Riddler now, and I'm fine with that. But I am the bowler hat suit wearing Riddler because he's about his brains, and that's one thing that he did really well in this movie. His brains made him smarter than Batman because even when he would tell him, it's like, you didn't get it. All they've been trying to figure out is what this La Rata meant the whole movie, right? And every time it was like, okay, now it means this, now it means that, now it means that, and then at the end, he's like, you put him in the light, and that is like Falcone is like, that's your Rata, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that, and it made me crack up laughing because like these guys don't know Spanish, you know what I
Which-
mean?
Penguin says
By the way,
it,
what-
and Penguin nails
They
it.
acknowledge it.
Nails
They
that
acknowledge
shit.
it.
Penguin's
Yeah.
like, you guys are,
That's another
He's
reason
like,
why
no
the Penguin's
habla
one of my
English.
favorite characters in the
Español.
movie.
you know. So to that sense, when he was finally caught is when I started enjoying the character that he was becoming because I did not like that outfit. I hate that outfit. I think that's the one thing that ruins this movie for me is looking at that outfit because it's not Riddler to me. Riddler should be this other type of person. You want to go look at a good version of Riddler that looks good, and I'm not going to say Jim Carrey, but if you go back to the Gotham movie, the Gotham TV series, the guy that was playing the Riddler there, he was a
Yeah.
pretty good Riddler.
was
Well,
awesome.
again, there was some things about it that were a little comic, but I really did like that version of Riddler because that's the version of Riddler I was kind of wanting to see. I didn't get that, and now I got this version of Riddler, which is like, yeah, it was Hush. He was more Hush than Riddler. That's
Yeah.
what I would say. And if you watch the Hush movie, they kind of messed that one up. But if you read the comic book Hush,
The comics, yeah, I was gonna tell you the
the
comics.
comic book version is
Oh,
better.
yeah.
So they've been playing with Riddler a lot in the comic books and the TV shows and all. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that thing.
Yes.
I got the first issue hanging right up there, 9.8 grade. So
Nice.
so
So Jada, I can tell by your reaction. What did you think of the Riddler? You said you
I-
were jumping at it, so
So no, it's not that. I get his take because I'm like that with certain character that I absolutely love. He just said that it's his favorite, so
Mhm.
I understand where he's coming from. I eat all this psychotic serial killer shit up all the time, even though I know, and I said it myself when I was watching the movie, I'm like, this isn't the Riddler, and I understand that, but I appreciate what they did because again, it appeals to me as the audience member that enjoys shit like that. So for me, the very first shot you see of him in the very beginning of the film,
Mhm.
as the guy's going to turn off the TV and he's just behind him, scary shit, man. It's just very
you didn't even
creepy,
see it, right? That was like no one saw it. Like,
yeah, I
what
was like,
the
what the fuck? Yeah, everybody, the whole theater was like, oh shit. So I can understand because I literally did a review for Uncharted where I'm like, yeah, the movie's fun, but they did not grab these characters from the video game that I knew and loved, you know.
Mhm.
And that was one of my complaints on the film. So I understand where you're coming from. Personally, for me, and again, I know I keep mentioning my girlfriend, but like two peas in a pod. She actually loved him. She loved the Riddler, and I told her, I'm like, you should. And I actually suggested read Hush. I'm like, grab it because I have it somewhere. I'm like, just grab it and read it and then watch because she likes watching all the animated stuff, and I'm like, that's who they were trying to get. But if you say Batman is fighting Hush, that's not gonna get ass in the seats, and they need to sell this movie, and that's why they had to name him the Riddler. um but I personally like the riddles. I personally like Dan. I like the way he was kind of like unstable, but I did love, and you just said it right. I laughed so hard when he did that when they finally broke the code, right? I mean the encryption to the video, and he's just some nerdy guy. He's like, hey man, the last video, and I loved all that. I was eating
that
it
was a
up.
funny that was a fun
That
scene.
was so funny. That was exactly so.
Hey guys.
Yeah, so I thought it was hilarious, but his um what is it like kind of like it was teeter-tottering between like insanity, how he would just go crazy like in the middle of a video, like very loud. It was very uneasy the way Daniel did it, and I really enjoyed that because again, you said it yourself earlier, this is an adult Batman film, and it's one of the reasons why I feel like this movie, as much as I showed my daughter The Dark Knight yesterday, and Joker is a very scary character in that movie. She even asked me, she's like, why do you have a tattoo of the Joker? He's crazy. And I'm like, kid, you'll understand. You'll relate to the Joker later. The guy speaks so much truth in that movie. But it's one of those where I'm like, I don't think I can take her to go see the Batman in theater. It's gonna be one of those like where I have to show her at home because I feel like it would creep out a 7-year-old.
Yeah, for sure.
Just everything that he did. What I know we mentioned favorite scenes with, well, at least for me, my favorite scene was the Batmobile, but a very close second was that funeral scene with the district attorney with the bomb in his head. I absolutely ate all that shit up. One of the things that I love about at least the last couple Batman movies that we've gotten is we usually get a villain that says the plan and then shit doesn't go down, right? These, like, at least with Joker, shit goes down. With Bane, we got him blowing up and actually destroying Gotham, and we got that with Riddler where he was like, yo, solve this riddle, and the man didn't solve it, and he's like, bye, boom, and he blows him up without any hesitation. I love seeing shit like that where the villains mean business. Usually for me at least, it's all I'm always not rooting for the villain, but I want the villains to do as much damage as they can so Batman can come back and kick some ass. You get me? But I'm always kind of secretly rooting for the villain because I guess I don't know if it's the horror nut in me or whatnot. I love seeing crazy shit go down. And that's one of the things that it was just for me that I appealed because I was that audience member that was looking for exactly that. But I completely get what you're saying, where you're like, it wasn't for me because that's not the character that I know and love. You get me?
Can
But
I
yeah, I ate that
follow
shit
that
up.
up?
Yeah, Rick.
Right.
Because I'm sort of the ways with you guys on a lot of what both of you said. And I feel like, the Iron Man was like the Russians back when it happened. Then when they made the movie, they changed it to the current war.
Of course.
And I feel like they did that a lot with the Joker, with turning him into more of a terrorist, And then I feel like with this film, there's, and Ed knows this, I'm a cinephile, but a horror movie, not more than anything. And with this film, I feel like on the top layer, like the 10,000 feet looking down, it's like, oh yeah, he's like a QAnon guy, and he's like sharing information on 4chan, and he's like doing all these things that we've been seeing, all these documentaries on Netflix for the last year, right? However, this is the character I've been thinking about the most since I saw the movie. Because to me, what made this character for me was none of those 10,000 foot things. It was the fact that this character was an incel. If any of you guys have seen any of the incel documentaries lately on Netflix, An incel's basically a guy that can't get with any women, doesn't understand why, and he blames men that can get with women and women. There's a huge internet society of these guys, and they're dangerous in real life. And for me, watching the Riddler wearing the GIMP mask and watching like how he was acting, and then not just that, watching how he was able to like turn it on and off like a psychopath. This guy gave me all the fucking creepy vibes of like every incel like suicide video I'd ever seen right before they go do something horrendous. And I think that was the scariest part of this character. And I feel like they did a pretty good job of nailing it down, but people are too busy wanting to see these other versions of Riddler instead of giving this guy the opportunity to just give us his interpretation of the character. And I've watched a lot of people, their opinions on this Riddler. I've watched maybe 20 different YouTube clips on this Riddler explained. And I feel like everybody kept seeing him on the 10,000 foot level. And I was like, this guy's way more dangerous than some nerd on 4chan. Like, this is a guy that'll do something.
Yeah.
You know, this is an incel, you know? And that's just, I feel like I agree. He was scarier with the mask off. But the mask was a good way to, like, you know, give us a visual representation.
Well, he was doing his best Spider-Man, right?
Character.
It was a very Spider-Man thing to do, where the mask makes him more confident in the character that he wants to be, right? So there's that. You know, I think about what our choices of Riddler were in the past. So we talked a little bit about Michael Keaton being cast as Batman. Jim Carrey was cast as Riddler because they wanted something about Jim Carrey's, you know, acting chops, right? The way Jim Carrey acts. And he was picked because he was allowed to be Jim Carrey. So they were going for the Frank Gorshin thing with him. And to a certain extent, I think an older version of Jim Carrey probably would have nailed it, to be quite honest. But that version of Jim Carrey was just who he was at that time. Before they had Jim Carrey, they were going to do Robin Williams.
Yep, I was going to mention that. Good shit.
Robin Williams, if he would have had the chance to play Riddler, he would have been the Riddler that we will be talking about. In my view, the way we were talking about Jack Nicholson as Joker, the way we talk about Heath Ledger as Joker, right? Because Robin Williams is everything that you think about when you think about Riddler because of what you've seen Robin Williams did before. And it's just like, with this one, it's like, yeah, there were elements of the Riddler that I absolutely love. And, the riddles are a big part of it. But the Riddler has gone through so many different types of iterations in the comic books in particular. And the fact that they wanted to do, like you said, they wanted to do Hush, because Hush is probably a really scary character. But Hush is not going to put butts in seats. Why not do Riddler? And that's exactly what they did in the cartoon movie, where they turned Riddler into Hush, which is like, oh, you guys screw that one up, right? Yeah. But Riddler has a place in the Batman mythos because he is his intellectual equal, where the other ones are not.
Well, he says it in the film.
Yeah, about to say
when
in
they
this
had
film,
that one-on-one, he says it in the film.
Yeah, they drive it home in his film, so he definitely, that does come across in this movie. He just doesn't maybe look like the traditional one, but I also don't think in this world like that they've built in this movie, the top hat and guy with just a little mask on him, that's just not going to work. Like,
and I get that
with the mask and everything. I think you just literally got to cover your identity, because the cops would nail him in 2 seconds and then move. It would be one of those memes where you see 2 shots and then the end of the movie, and that would pretty much just be it. So I don't know. I love this version of the Riddler, this real world gritty take on him. He does everything the Riddler would normally do. He does outwit Batman. And at one point, Jason and I talked about this after the movie, he thinks him and Batman are working together at one point. That
part I loved. I'm like, yo, this motherfucker's so crazy, bro. And he's like, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
And
and Batman tells him, like, you're scum, you're crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
And he even tells him that we pretty much, like, this was escalation. Like,
he's like, I couldn't get him out to the light. And he goes, you got him out to me. It was.
Yeah, he goes, I can't physically do what you do. You went ahead and did all that. I can just do this. That's what I thought. Like that's why I love this. I genuinely do love this version of the Riddler.
I will say one thing about this Riddler that was interesting to me, and the thoughts running away from me now. It's crazy thinking about it, but I again towards the end of the movie is when he started feeling more like the Riddler to me. At the end of the movie is when he started feeling like the Riddler to me. When
he
was
sees him
talking.
for the first time in the Batsuit, right when they're arresting him and he's putting his head out, he just
like I
starts to
would
smile.
have. You know what I think? I think it was the costume that was messing with me. I think the costume was messing with me more than anything because I really didn't like that costume.
This is actually everything that sounds like that you wanted in the film.
Yeah, there was there was elements about it that I actually totally Riddler. And things like that, but it was just like I don't know. It was just I couldn't get past that look. But you know, him in the coffee shop, and he's just there like, and he's he's playing them. I like that. I like how he was playing them, and he's always like 3 steps ahead of everybody. So that's the one thing about the Riddler. And again, I don't have anything against his version. I think Paul Dano's a great actor. He was absolutely scary. Oh, now I remember what my thought was. I thought he was a reporter and not another orphan. That was my thought.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I did too, actually. When you find out that Thomas Wayne may or may not have had the reporter killed, I completely thought, like, he's another reporter or he's this guy who didn't die or something. I
was thinking he was a reporter because all the information he knew, only a reporter or another detective would get that kind of information and figure it out. So he had to have some kind of inside knowledge to get what he needed to go. He didn't just find out about all this stuff.
Yeah, well, they said he was a forensic accountant.
Since does Mark and I know there's a little leap, but we just said Thomas's name. Does Martha Wayne being institutionalized mean that Bruce is crazy?
See, I thought they were going to try to touch on some Flashpoint shit once upon a time. And I thought they were kind of go with her being the Joker for a little bit. Because I'm like, what the fuck is that? So that's where my mind went immediately. And I'm like, are they doing some Flashpoint shit now? I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I think there was a little Flashpoint stuff thing going there.
Yeah.
And it's a little bizarre. But by the end of the movie, with the whole Martha being crazy, I was like, what if Bruce Wayne's an irrational narrator and he was never actually the Batman?
Well, Jason could mention that. There's a lot
of
that's
Joker. That's Joker too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Joker pretty much, right?
Yeah.
The movie never happened.
Yeah, well, that there's also some comics and theories that that Batman is really in Arkham, and he's imagining this entire thing. Yeah. And all the
the villains are actually the doctors. That go and see him and all that shit.
That's Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yes, it is.
From, if you guys haven't seen it yet,
that's a classic.
The first, I think that's actually the first movie with a twist ending, right? 1926.
First zombie movie, also.
Incredible, good point, dude. I love that you boys know that shit, man. I actually saw it. I saw it last year. I saw it last year, I saw it like 2 or 3 years ago for the first time, and I was so blown. I just heard about that movie. I think like 2020 or 2019, around there. I just found out about it, and I'm like, holy shit, this movie is incredible.
I got to show you an action figure. I'll be back.
Yeah.
All right. So also, I guess this is
Jason's collection.
Jason's collection is pretty serious. He's got the action figures. I got the Funko Pops. Oh wow, there it is.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is the actual Dr. Caligari. I actually also have other action figures from that movie. This is the one that was just on my dresser, but this is actually Dr. Caligari, the action figure.
That is amazing. Dude.
See, if I didn't know you said that, I would have said that's Penguin as Shrek.
Yeah, I can see that.
Little mashup there.
But this Dr. Caligari does something weird. He just yes. He becomes a weird Lovecraftian alien, which he doesn't in the movie. But that's his action figure.
That's pretty dope, man.
All right, so I guess the next main character we can hit on is Selena Kyle, who's never referred to as the Catwoman, but obviously they dance around it a bunch, and it's fine.
I don't know why they do that all the time, though.
Yeah, they did that in The Dark Knight Rises too, man.
It's like, we won't call her that. We'll call her Cat.
Yeah, that's fine though. I thought she was really. I mean, Zoe Kravitz really freaking. I mean, she brings it. She's really good in general, but she nails this, especially after watching I actually liked Anne Hathaway's Catwoman as well. Michelle Pfeiffer's for the time, it's fine. But she's an actual cat burglar, unlike
And the mask is so dope because it's something that a poor person would use. It was very
ski
thought out
mask.
really
Well,
well.
That's taken directly from Year One. David
Yeah.
Medichelli, right? That's David Medichelli's at the finest.
Yeah,
so that's completely taken from that story. Yeah, I think she was awesome.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, first of all, she looks like Catwoman, right?
Yeah,
they made her look like Catwoman, which is something that you don't normally see, right? Because Michelle Pfeiffer, though I love her Catwoman, I think is an awesome Catwoman, and it was definitely perfect for its time. She doesn't look like Catwoman in the comic books. You know, Zoe Kravitz looks like Catwoman, and she walks like Catwoman, which was interesting. The way she would walk. I already knew the twist that she was Falcone's daughter.
I didn't need that.
Well, I didn't need it either. I didn't need it. I thought that she just could have just had revenge for it. They did do the scratch.
You killed my mom. You killed my mom at the club, man. I don't like you. Like that. It could have been as far as that.
But did he know that was his daughter? That was my only curiosity.
No, he didn't.
He didn't know.
No, he didn't know that at all.
Because she explains who she is.
Yeah.
And then that's when he starts choking her out.
Because I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
At first, I thought he knew because when she was telling Bruce the story, she's like, he looked at me and he did nothing. So I'm like, oh, so he knows. And then the very next scene, she's explaining who she is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, does he not remember her or what is it, you know? So I was a little confused by that as well.
A strange father, that's what he was.
yeah. But I honestly, it's one of the few things that and I didn't mention this in my review, but it's one of the few things that I'm like, I didn't need it. I could have been fine without it. It was, and just the execution, how it just went down. It was very like, boom, because he's my father, and I was like, what the fuck?
And it wasn't necessary. Like you said, it wasn't necessary because she had her motive already when they killed her best friend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
Or her mom from years ago.
That didn't have to be. It could have been her mom. It could, So she's been around them, and she knew that Falcone was responsible for their deaths, right?
Yeah.
So that was good. That was good enough motive rather than you're my dad.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
I agree. No, and I thought she was great. And it's actually two takeaways from that. I felt like the whole her and Bruce thing was a little rushed too. It was like I kind of, we more of studio notes, if you will, to Matt Reeves. Like it was one of those like, hey, these two got to be love interests for a little bit of the film. Or
they're supposed to. So in the comic books, they've always had like
they've always had
they always had tension, right? There was always something there, but they never really. For a very long time, they didn't go there. They knew there was something there, but they wouldn't go there. Here, she was like, yeah, screw it. I'm going to make out with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why. And I was just
why
like,
not? They're both single. One of them's practically homeless. The other one's a billionaire.
You don't know that, though. You don't know who he is.
Lead, and you got a
she has a thing for strays, apparently. As she states. But I will say though, their chemistry. I agree with you that maybe it was a little bit rushed, but their chemistry I thought was fantastic.
Yeah,
I love the chemistry between Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz in this film, and she kicks some serious ass when she fights. She really gets down.
She's awesome. She's absolutely.
She was awesome. She was as Catwoman. She was amazing. I love her.
There was one choreographed scene that was that fight when she was fighting Batman, and when they first meet, she's that felt more choreographed than anything else in the movie. But
terrible security guard, by the way. Fucking safe is wide open, dude. Come on, what are you doing? I guess she get fired.
But she was definitely good. I think she was overshadowed by the other characters more so. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of them and stuff like that.
How hard is it? Like, think about it. I feel like everyone brought their A game in this movie, man. Mm-hmm. Like at least main character wise, between Wright, Andy Serkis, Colin Farrell, John Turturro, Zoe Kravitz, Robert Pattinson, everybody brought it, man.
He's really a Skarsgård.
Bro, he always plays a fucking creep, man.
Yeah,
every fucking movie he plays a goddamn creep, dude.
Coulson. Well, I don't know why they called him Coulson either. Like all I was thinking was Coulson from the Avengers. Coulson.
Coulson. But yeah, man.
Yeah, no. Jason, any thoughts on Catwoman before we move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really liked her. I thought this was a really good Catwoman. I actually think this is my favorite on-screen Catwoman. Like, you know, I love Michelle Pfeiffer because of nostalgia and BDSM, but you know, I mean,
She's still my favorite. Michelle
you
Pfeiffer
ain't
is
wrong,
my favorite,
right?
man.
no, you know, and she's fantastic, but she's just not the cat. She's not the Catwoman from the comic, and I like watching this Zoe Kravitz, who I love, by the way. She was on a show called High Fidelity, which was a gender swap take on the Nick Hornsby book and the John Cusack movie, which was she was super fucking charming in. But I love that she was in this, and she actually reminds me a lot of Catwoman in The Long Halloween. Like, you know, I remember when we saw this movie the other day, and I was like, I don't know how this is taken from The Long Halloween and, you know, other things, and it has this plot. You were like, well, we'll see. And I'm like, well, I did. Yeah, no, I mean, I love this Catwoman. I guess I'm babbling, but I love this Catwoman. I want to see more.
Yeah, and well, my knocks with the Michelle Pfeiffer one was just that they literally was like, yes, she's a metahuman who was a zombie essentially, who was killed, bit by cats, and somehow resurrected, and never burglarizes anything because it's supposed to be a cat burglar. She never steals anything.
No, she doesn't.
But what kind of cats were they that they gave her superpowers in that sense?
As Jason would say, hand waves. That's it. Just hand waves.
Cats. You see my hand? Cats.
She's Catwoman. She's Catwoman in Lego Batman, right?
Turtles.
Michelle Pfeiffer?
No, I
no,
think
in
Zoe
Lego
Kravitz,
Batman. Yeah,
she's
I want
Catwoman.
to say
yes. No,
remember.
Zoe Kravitz is in Lego Batman, and
Okay.
I read that because I was doing some research for the show.
Yeah, so we're covering
And
that
I
in
had
2 weeks.
Yeah, and I had seen that this was the second time she played the role.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which we got, you know, we got another Batman Returns in this movie because we got Batman, Penguin, and the cat in this.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah. No, that was not lost on me.
No.
Yeah.
Just knocked it
I
out
can't
of the
believe
park.
none of you are mentioning Halle Berry's amazing portrayal of.
Well, don't worry,
that's
Rick.
on-
Rick,
Well,
don't worry.
because
You'll
she
mention it
was
with us in a
Selena
couple of weeks
Kyle.
Yeah.
when we review it. How about that?
And
No.
Rick,
Okay.
Rick,
let
you
me
insist
tell you
She's,
something.
first of all, she's
It's
Patient
my
Phillips.
fault that you're.
Patient Phillips.
Okay,
bro.
let me
Yes.
tell you a little something about Halle Berry's Catwoman because this is something that's interesting.
Must you?
When that movie came out, I knew it was garbage. So did everybody else in the world. But I went to the movies with the most unlikely purpose for me to go to the movies with my mother. Me and my mother went to see Catwoman. I don't know. We never did anything before or after that. As far as the two of us going to the movies, right? So nobody else went to the movies.
Does your mom still hate you?
No, my mom
for dragging her.
Wait,
for dragging
was
her
it
to
your
that
mom's
movie?
idea or your
Never
idea?
doing this with you again.
I don't think it was my idea. I think it was we were together at the time, and we just wanted to go to the movies, and that was
Okay.
playing. And I had no desire to go see it, to tell you the truth. And when first of all, the plot of the movie was just like, okay,
Yeah,
and it's
bad.
but what cracks me up about that movie, it's set in the same universe as the Tim Burton movie, because she's not Selena Kyle in this movie. She's a different, she's some other version of Catwoman, but they have photos of Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie. If you haven't seen the movie, I think one day you should take an opportunity and watch how bad this movie is.
At some point,
Even
I'll be
with-
forced to
Well,
watch it
Rick.
again.
Well, Rick, in a month we're gonna cover it thanks to you.
You
Because
gotta
we're gonna
see
do the
how bad
Batman
this movie
spin-off
is.
movie.
If I gotta watch it, you gotta watch it.
No, that's my line.
No,
If I gotta watch, then you gotta watch it because we weren't gonna cover that
Rick,
shit, and now we are.
here's the thing: you're on that episode, and if you try to back out, we're just gonna put that episode off until you're free.
No, just post it until he can make
I
it.
will guarantee you it is still bad today.
Oh, I have.
I agree.
Izzy,
It's
I have
fucking
absolutely no
I
doubts
watched it,
whatsoever.
But there
I
are
watched
movies
it
that they,
not too long
as
ago.
they get older in time, you have this little love for it. Like I feel the same way. I feel that way about Batman and Robin sometimes. There's parts of Batman and Robin that I could just watch over and over because it's just so stupid, right? But
Yeah.
this movie is dumb, but it's dumb in bad ways, and it's still dumb in bad ways today.
I have no doubts. All right, so I guess the last two characters.
Everybody
I wanna-
mentioning. Well,
Go
no, I was just gonna say before we get off Catwoman, everybody keeps mentioning the chemistry between the two of them. Google a picture of Zoe Kravitz and Google a picture of Pattinson's ex-girlfriend, FKA Twigs.
Oh,
They look
Okay.
like the same person. There might be a reason for all that
so
chemistry.
maybe that helped. Maybe that helped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys, just so you know that Catwoman is on HBO Max, so you guys can watch. Go ahead
Oh,
and watch it. You guys can cover it.
Great.
Oh no, we will, Jaden. If you're free, you can feel free to join us.
Yeah,
if you
you
like.
know what?
I'm gonna pass
I
on
can
this.
tell
Jaden,
you
think
right
we
now.
have
I
to
can
have
tell
this
you right now.
show.
I won't be. I
Okay.
won't be free.
He's like, I'm working. It doesn't matter.
I'm
What-
working.
it
I
doesn't
have
matter.
the kids. I have school. I don't know what I have that day.
I have
but
something. But yes, thankfully, so we don't have to pay for it. I'm hoping
There
it
you
stays
go.
on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Even if you did pay me for it, how's that? I wouldn't watch it again.
Dude.
But I guess the next character to logically talk about also would be Commissioner Gordon, who's not
Yeah.
commissioner in this movie.
I already kind of
Jim
gave my
Gordon.
take on it. You guys
Yeah,
can take it
yeah,
away.
yeah.
I'm gonna say real quick. I'm gonna start this off. I think fucking Wright is an awesome Commissioner Gordon, just like he's an awesome Felix Leiter.
Martin Luther King.
He is an awesome
Right.
Felix Leiter. He is an
The
awesome
Watcher.
Peter.
He's the Watcher,
He's
guys.
the Watcher.
He's an awesome watcher.
Everything.
He's just awesome. He's great in
Westworld.
this.
Love him in
Yes.
Westworld.
Like
Yeah.
there's nothing negative I have to say about this Jim Gordon. He's got the mustache. He fucking has that cop voice, and yeah, he's fantastic. I love him in this. That's my take on him.
So one thing that I thought was interesting is that obviously they decide, that this Gordon is going to be black. No one questioned the fact that he was a black Gordon, right? It didn't go on anybody's mind, right? Which is a good thing, right?
Who cares?
Right? Who cares, right? Same thing with Zoe Kravitz, but in her case, she looks more like Catwoman than, let's just say, a typical white woman would probably look like her, right?
Mhm.
But for his
Original
mustache,
on-screen Catwoman is black.
Yeah.
she's number 3.
Oh, 3. Sorry. Yes.
Shit. Sorry. Good
One of
try. Good try, but she's number 3.
Original to me.
Yes.
There you go. Works for me. She had the best lines, right? She played the role. But first of all, the mustache, right? Every time I see Gordon, I need a mustache, right? And if you ever get a chance, maybe I'll put it on the page with you guys. There's Jeffrey Wright critiquing other movie mustaches. If you ever seen it,
That's awesome.
you gotta
That's
see
good.
it. He's
That's
just
good.
and he's there, and he's like, he's watching it like he's sitting on a stool, and there's obviously the screen is far away from him, right, for the camera, and he's just like, let me just go a little closer here. And he's doing that kind of
That's
stuff.
awesome.
It's so good. It's like it's 5 minutes that you will not forget about, right? But one thing I love about this Gordon, again, I love Omen. Omen's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Perfect, right? When they cast Omen, it was like you found Gordon. We could have said the same thing about J.K. Simmons, but we didn't get enough time for him,
Agreed.
right? But what was so great is how he trusted Batman in that way. And it was to the point that he was already sold on Batman. He was like, no, this guy's my guy. I trust no one else. I trust you. And he said it in the movie, right? I trust you. And it's just that, first of all, there was a little bit of 66 Gordon in him because every time there was a riddle, he was like dumb to the riddle in a weird way. I don't know if he was trying to be dumb, but Batman always had the answer. And he was like, oh, okay. Like that. So
Yeah.
there was one thing I love about Reeves in particular, his directing style. He did cherry pick other movies for this movie and ways that you probably didn't even think about, right? But what was really nice about this Gordon is the fact that he was like, he's a cop. He's gonna be a cop. He's gonna act like a cop. Even when Batman's like, no guns, he's like, no, that's your thing.
Yeah.
All that stuff is made him so good as Gordon, and he's likable. One thing about Gordon that we don't normally see is that, and we see it in Omen, but he's supposed to be, he's likable but tough, and I think this guy's doing the job. So I want to see more of Jeffrey Wright's Gordon. I definitely want to see more of him.
No, for sure. And I'm pretty sure that'll be in the Gotham PD spinoff too, because that's another one that's supposed to be on HBO Max. And I'm correct, he's supposed to be featured in that as well. I personally, my favorite part with Gordon was just the partnership that he had with Batman. Like they were a team together. He trusted him, and I like the fact that they work together as such. I mean, we've seen that before in other iterations, but I just felt like they truly were a team, like really, joined at the hip in this movie. And they're also their chemistry I thought was actually pretty strong as well. All right, and I guess the last one last character we can talk about is Alfred. I mean, we talked about him a little bit, and I think the scene, his most powerful scene, is the one when after he has the explosive and he's in the bed, he's laying in the hospital, and then Bruce is there, and they kind of like really bond in that scene where he tells him the truth about his parents and stuff after Falcone tried to go ahead and
manipulate
misdirect him and do all this crap with him. He sets the record straight, and Bruce also learns there that I don't want to go through a loss like I did with my parents again. And I realized it, and it was a very, very sweet moment, to be honest with you, for them, and to build their relationship from there. And then he sees the signals up, and it's like it's time to go to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly just Serkis is such a badass that it was another thing that was slightly disappointing, but again, it was just the way the character was written for this film. I feel like it's to push it Bruce's arc further, and that's why we got very little of him, so he can appreciate what a father is. Again, he says it. I don't want to feel a loss like I did with my parents. I wanted more of Serkis because I know that he can absolutely kill that role. And we've seen little teasers here and there with the Pennyworth show, and the type of Alfred we've gotten in the past where he can be a real badass, right? I feel like we can get that with Serkis. He can definitely nail that in a future film. I hope they bring him back. I hope they sign him back. I wanted more of him, but what we did get, I liked, man, a lot. Again, I felt like everybody just brought their A game.
And I felt fine with Serkis' portrayal. Again, I wish I had more. Yeah. But then again, it's a 3-hour movie, and with the 3-hour movie, exactly, some people are going to get shortchanged. I was shocked when he got blown away. Yeah. But the first immediate reaction is like, no, they just killed Alfred. Right? It's like, you don't kill Alfred now. Wait till the third movie at least, right?
But so that's my girlfriend's favorite character in any Batman film.
Yeah,
you ask her who her favorite character besides Harley Quinn. She doesn't hate Margot's Birds of Prey Harley. And she liked her in Suicide Squad, but she hates that iteration of Harley Quinn. She's like, that is not Harley Quinn, right? Like, she fell in love as a kid watching animated series when she got introduced, and ever since then, she's just a diehard Harley Quinn fan, right?
There's so many versions of Harley too, though.
Yeah. But hers is animated. That's her thing. Animated series, Harley is her. Tara Strong is like her shit, right? But if you ask her besides that, Alfred for everything. In fact, it got to the point where she had to change her password because everything was Alfred on everything. And
now it's Pennyworth.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Nice.
So I always try to misdirect when I've seen a movie because she's like a child and she likes to ask questions in the middle of the movie, and I'm like, dude, just fucking watch it. And when they're trying to figure out that riddle, the sins of the father and this and that, and you get that scene, I honestly said the same shit. I was like, there's no fucking way they're going to kill Alfred in the first movie. But then at the same time, I thought, this is fucking Matt Reeves. He doesn't give a fuck. Like, he can probably very well kill Alfred in the first movie and get away with it, Yeah. So the first time I saw it, I was obviously shocked. And you see him in the hospital bed. But she looks at me when he's calling, you see Alfred slowly, the little montage of him opening the bomb and all that. And she looks at me, she goes, if they kill Alfred from this movie, I am walking out. And then I kind of give her the you're about to walk out face, like, and it happens. And she like gets up and I kind of hold her down and I'm like, just keep watching. And then she goes, seriously, if they fucking kill him, I don't care to see this movie. She was so pissed. And then whatever, she got it. She goes, oh, thank God. When she sees him on the bed, she's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? And then I'm like, hey man, you know what? They just killed Aunt May. In No Way Home, dude. You don't know.
But they gave her 3 movies.
Yeah. Absolutely. Not in Spider-Man PS4, man. They killed her in that one.
Hey, she died in the comic book and came back to life.
I was okay with them killing this Alfred while watching the film because they introduced that old lady who I didn't know. And then I was like, I guess Lucius Fox might play a huge role in this universe. Who knows? Or I was like, maybe this is the Batman that turns into the version where he wears fake vampire teeth because
Oh, wow.
he doesn't have an Alfred, because he doesn't have someone to like humanize him. He goes deeper and deeper into the Bat. And nope, they let me down. He was still alive.
So what
Oh.
you're trying to say is that you want this version of Batman to become a vampire? Is that
I
what
want
you're
this
saying?
version of Batman to go off the deep end.
And
I'm
become
okay
a
with the
vampire
Batman
that
series.
twinkles, that sparkles?
No. The Batman from the actual comic books. The version of him that were I'm not recalling which version of him it was that were.
There's
the
a thousand. There's a thousand
There's so
different
many.
versions.
Right. But I was okay with a version of Batman that goes off the deep end. What are we gonna do? 3 movies from now, it's gonna be him and Selena Kyle in France again, and they're sipping wine, and like he grew up and got to like grow old and be Bruce Wayne.
Mhm.
No.
one recognized.
I
who
want to
Bruce
see a
Wayne was.
Batman that doesn't make it out. I want to see
You want the
a
Batman
Batman
who
that
laughs.
ends up
then.
in an asylum like his mother. Like, I want to see something different. How
You
many
wanna see-
times are we going to see the same story?
Okay.
At least that's me.
I think
I'm
we're
okay
getting.
to
I
go
think
all
we're
the
getting
way
it a little
dark.
bit different this time around, though.
So
I'm
talking
saying by
about
the
the
end
parents.
of the third one.
Talking about the parents, I've always had a weird place when it comes to the parents in a Batman movie, because since you mentioned the Martha scenario and Martha being crazy, now that we mentioned the fact that it could be a callback to a Flashpoint version of Martha, which I could see why they did that now. I'm never a fan of them taking a character like Thomas Wayne and saying, well, he wasn't as goody two shoes as he thought he was. But I did like the fact that this Alfred kind of brought him back to that place for Bruce, because the minute Bruce finds out that that Thomas was kind of responsible for some of this corruption, he was like, oh, am I becoming Batman in vain now? Right. And it's like, for me, it would be like, what's the purpose of doing the job now? What's the point of justice now? If my own dad, who I thought was about that, is not that. I never did like versions where the Waynes are corrupt. It's just like I never like versions where Aunt May is too young. And there's certain comic tropes that I like to keep the way they need to stay. I get new generation versions of things, but some things I feel like need to stay the same. And I think when it comes to the parents in particular, we don't touch a lot about them here. But I just personally, I was like, please don't make him as a corrupt person. Go through the Court of Owls. I'm cool with you. You want to go that direction, which I think that's where they want to go with
That's
the
what it
Court of
seems
Owls.
like. That's what it
That
seems
my
like.
my cousin thought that this was gonna be a teaser to Court of Owls.
Yeah,
And he was kind of disappointed with the whole Joker ending at the end, because he's like, fuck, that means we're getting Joker at the second fucking movie. He's like, save him for the third, give us something different. He
but
was pretty
Joker makes
upset 'cause-
money. That's why you get
Yeah,
Joker.
butts
yeah.
and seats, man.
That's-
Butts and
Yeah,
seats.
Joker.
But
It-
though, if in that interview I referenced earlier with IGN with Matt Reeves, though, he said that very clearly that doesn't mean that we're getting Joker immediately in the next film. That
Yeah.
still might not happen immediately, and there's a lot of talk about, like, Robert Pattinson's talked about it and others have talked about it during this press tour. There's been a lot of Court of Owls mentions, even to the point where it looks like maybe they slipped on that being one of their ideas where they might go with the sequel. So, Jada, what you're talking about, I actually think that's where I would like to see happen, is you go to Court of Owls, then maybe you bring the Joker back, towards the end of the next movie, and then have him lead for the third movie.
I honestly would love to see in a sequel somebody that we really haven't seen, or someone that has been done right or properly, if you will.
Mhm.
So I heard
Um,
Freeze. I heard Freeze is coming back.
would
Freeze
be
got thrown out
something.
there.
Yeah.
Freeze is someone that I would love to see done right again.
But Freeze
That-
was not a right character. Animated series made him a good character.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the animated series made him a good character, and that's why people clamor for him. That's why he was in Batman and Robin. So he was a shitty character
It
before,
was
but
terrible.
I want him now in a realistic Batman movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that I would love to see the Scarface, ventriloquist, whatever.
Oh,
you wanna call him.
I would fucking love to see
I
them
feel
turn
like in a
west.
Reeves film that would work really, really, really well.
Yeah, I agree with you
Um,
on that.
So there's
but
plenty of
he's one of
characters
those.
like
Ventriloquist is one of those side characters, though. He never really has
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
I know,
big
but you
moment.
can honestly blow that up though. You can if you get the proper writing team, you can make that
Oh,
shit
yeah.
very, very well.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
Clayface.
Clayface is another one, but
I'd love
Reeves
to
says
see a
he doesn't want to
Clayface.
do nothing supernatural.
No,
Nothing
or
Clayface-
anything.
supernatural.
Clayface
Yeah.
is in the conversation. That's what I heard.
Oh, I would love that.
There-
That's actually my girlfriend's number one vote right now. She's like, if they're gonna make a movie and it's not gonna be your typical characters that we haven't seen, she goes Clayface. Again, she like most of her Batman knowledge isn't really comics; it's more animated series, and she rewatches them all the time. She goes, "That was the first villain introduced in the animated series. The very first episode is Clayface.
No, it's actually
goes-
Man-Bat.
It is
It is
Man-Bat.
Man-Bat.
Holy
It
shit.
Man-Bat.
is Man-Bat.
Which
Man-Bat.
I would love to see a Man-Bat.
Which scared the shit out of me in Arkham City. I don't know if you guys played that game, but when the
Yeah.
Man-Bat shows up, bro, that shit was scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I honestly, and again, this is coming from someone that's obsessed with Joker, almost every iteration of Joker. I don't get enough of him, to be honest with you. When they introduced him, I lost my mind, but I can see why people would get upset. It's like, you know, watching again the Patriots go to the fucking Super Bowl over and over and over again. Like it was one of those things where, you know, all right, man, I get it, and I understand that. And I love that character. So, but if they're gonna do somebody, excuse me, that they haven't used before, I would love to see someone that we have not seen on screen, or someone that wasn't really done properly, that you can really grab into this universe and, you know, just flip it. And just
yeah, my opinion's gonna be Freeze.
Yeah, man.
I think it's gonna end up being Freeze because again, fix the character. He's well known. You know, when he comes to Batman villains, he's kind of like number 4, number 5 on the list.
Yeah.
So, you know, where Clayface, Man-Bat, Ventriloquist, those guys in particular, they're great characters, but not the public doesn't know them like that. You know, only those people that really watch the cartoons and do that and watch it.
Yeah.
So that's good. Again, more mobsters. I love seeing Batman with mobsters. I don't know why. I love the mobsters.
I'm the same way. My
Yeah.
cousin, the one that wanted Court of Owls, he was like, "Is there more mobsters in this?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know why I don't like." I'm like, "I fucking love that shit."
Yeah.
Yeah.